period. Capitals maintaining that 6-3 lead over the visiting Florida Panthers. We talked about Matthew Knies before, and I think, Stu, you'll agree with me that if you got I guess a top-end effort out of Knies and McMahon on those two lines, that would be quite a sway in a playoff series, wouldn't it?
Yes, 100%, right? And if that's a considered weakness, I guess, of this forward group, I think that's what it would be, just due to the lack of depth. And, you're seeing Lawton now, who's on the left side, where he was slotted to be a third-line center. You've seen Domi back and forth between there. So I think you really, really quiet that noise with Knies and McMahon having big playoff series. And, ultimately, I could see both of them, having 2-3 goals in a series. And, that coupled with the play of Austin Matthews and Tavares and Nylander and Marner elevating, I think whatever they lack in depth, I think those other guys can carry the load. So I think the big four can have that, but Knies and McMahon can be X factors where with just so much top-end talent, it's going to be tough to cover everybody. I can see them getting through and having big playoff series regardless of who they play.
So here's Matthew Knies and how he feels deep into the regular season compared to last year.
I think I feel a lot better, honestly, than I did last year at this time. I think my body's just a little more used to it, and I know how to take care of myself just a little bit better. And it's my body's feeling good, and I still feel refreshed, and just excited for the back half now.
What do you think it was that you learned from last year? This year, is it the rest or nutrition? Like, what are some of the things that you kind of? Oh, sorry.
A lot of things. Take different things from a lot of players in here. Kind of watching a guy like Johnny, it's pretty easy to pick up a routine that's healthy and helps you recover and stuff like that.
What about the groove that this team is on right now? Like, what's been the biggest change from last week maybe to now?
Yeah, I think our compete level's just been higher. We've been, winning races to pucks, winning net front battles, doing a good job on the lines. I think that's been the change so far. I think these past few games, I think that's why we're having so much success, is just the compete level of our group.
What has this week meant to the group? Like, it almost seemed like there was a reset approach, and to see the results come as well.
Yeah, I thought at the start of the season, I thought we were a top team. I thought we dipped a little bit in our defensive game, and I think we really kind of refound ourselves. We found our identity, and we've been playing great hockey. So we just want to kind of stay consistent with that towards the end of the season here.
What do you have to be mindful with the Preds tonight? What do you have to be mindful of with the Preds and their skill up front?
Yeah, I mean they have a lot of skill up front. Special teams too. I think their power play is pretty dangerous. Obviously playing with Fact right now, how good he is around the net. So just trying to make sure that he doesn't get those chances is going to be important for us. It's going to be a good game tonight.
Matthew Knies and Stu, I got to stop saying scores because as soon as I say them, they change. Utah scored late in the second period as a 4-3 lead over Tampa after 40 minutes of play. So I'm safe for 10 minutes because they're in intermission. Wow.
That's funny. So it looks like they're going to bleed into the start of our game. So can you over-talk Ralphie and Bowen? Hey, we got a quick score with the Tat Man.
No, out of respect, I wouldn't. Ralphie will handle that. I'm not doing that.
Okay, perfect.
So Nashville, has it's kind of a different looking team. And last year in the summer when they loaded up on I guess 3 guys where they paid a lot of money, you're going, wow, what's happening here? Because David Poile didn't really operate that way. Sort of operated through the draft. They don't have a lot of young guys on that roster now. There are plenty on the way. And as I said before, they've got 11 picks in this summer's draft. The future looks good, but for right now, it's kind of taped together, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mixture of young and old, right? And today's NHL, right, you're looking at a team like Dallas, right, that has the Jamie Benns and it has the Tyler Sagans, but they have a mixture of the Robertsons and the Wyatt Johnsons and the Thomas Harleys. So you need to find a way to integrate some of the younger guys, have major roles on your team, right? And this team is led by the Forsbergs, the Marchessaults, the Stamkoses, the O'Reillys, and not saying, if they have an off year, it sort of now spells disaster for the organization, right? And we started early in the season with Asarov, the backup goalie, getting traded, and then Jussi Saros, performing at a low level. He's only got 16 wins and 50 starts with an 896, where he was contending for the Vezina as well, too, right? And then you take a look at Jussi, who's 38 points in 53 games, where he was toying with 100 points a couple seasons ago. So it just seems like everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. And sometimes when you have a mixture or elixir of players, it takes some time for them to gel. But anyway you dice it, the expectations were higher. A lot of people had this team being where the Dallas Stars were contending for that, Central Division as well. And they just sort of underachieved. But the one thing I could tell you with Trotz, he's going to be very, very aggressive in trying to change this, because this is his first time. It took him a while to become an executive now from the coaching ranks, and he's going to hang his hat on making this team a Stanley Cup contender and continuing what Poyle has done. And I could see him making some changes really, really fast.
Yeah, I just think if you did a stereotypical view of what Nashville was in the past, really good blue line, really good goaltending, maybe offensively challenged up front, and it just doesn't look like that anymore.
Yes, and I dubbed them sort of the movie monster at the end, that you think they're dead and they just find a way to find life and squeeze into the playoffs. And I said that. Up. Yeah, I used to say that till about February, March. I think I stopped that story in late October. So, you look at a player like everybody's underachieving, right? They brought in Brady Shea, who he was playing some great minutes for Carolina, 22 minutes a night, and he was at 40-50 points a year, and he's at 25 and a minus 15, where he's hung his hat on being a plus player and playing big minutes. So it just seems that something's awry there. But the one thing I can tell you, they're probably going to address it in the offseason.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a busy summer again, especially with all those draft picks. 3 in the first round, 2 in the next round, so that's 5. And let's do some quick math here on the first 64 picks. So that's pretty good stuff there. So let's deal with the Leafs and some of the clips that we had talked about starting properly. And I think you would agree over the last 3 games they did, but going back to last Saturday against Ottawa, they did not. So is that the direct result of Austin Matthews saying we got to tighten up our skates, or is it just everybody looking in the mirror?
Yeah, well, we heard Andrew Burnett call the players out in front of the media, but I'm sure Craig Barube did it behind the scenes where, that's something, yes, as an NHLer, you got to get prepared, but I think that's on the veteran players. Like, we need you guys. Austin, you are one of the highest players paid in the National Hockey League. Marner, we need you guys to be drivers. We need you to step up, and we need you to lead by example. So I'm sure they took that, personally, right? You saw Tavares score, midway through the first period against the Rangers. So I think for them, it's those veteran guys saying, hey, you know what? When the coach is sending messages, we can't look to our left and to our right. We have to look to within and find a way to get it done. So I'm sure it's those veteran guys just stepping up and saying, you know what? Enough's enough. Let's do it. Let's do it ourselves.
One other afternoon game that we didn't get into, the Flames got by the Islanders 4-3 in overtime, and much needed for the Flames because St. Louis got by Chicago 4-1. So the Flames they're still there, but they're on the below the cut line, but they have to win a lot of games here.
Yes, they're currently 2 points behind St. Louis for that final wild card in the West, too. They're actually 1 point ahead of Vancouver, who's been struggling as of late, 2 losses in a row. But the Long Island Islanders, and I know we're getting out of the Canada side here of things, but the Long Island, I said they are the Nashville of the East as they sit now 1 point behind Montreal. But they do have to leapfrog the Rangers, but they do have 2 games in hand as well. So again, at the top of the show, I discussed just how much parity there is in the league, how it is where a team, it's like the World Series of poker. All you need is a chip in a chair and you have the opportunity. It's great to see some great teams now just sort of, insert themselves into this playoff race. So it's great to see. And, how great would it be now if you have, I don't know if can all Canadian teams get in? I'd be very, very surprised. But to have majority of the Canadian teams in, I think that's great for the game, and it's great for revenue as well.
And maybe a first-round matchup, too, right? 2 Canadian teams.
Who would that be? Toronto and Ottawa, right?
Or Montreal. Toronto-Montreal.
Yes.
Could
you? Yeah. Toronto-Montreal, not Toronto-Ottawa. No, I don't want to see Gary Roberts back. And I don't. No. But Montreal, that would be great. And just going back to the Four Nations, like that was the loudest building I've ever been in. And to see a Toronto-Montreal, whoa! Yeah. I think I'd have to go buy a blue and a red jersey just for that one.
Yeah. No ghosts there, right?
No. Yes, exactly.
Okay, so for this game, I mean, I don't know what to look for because you had the scoring fest on Monday, the defensive battle on Wednesday, and actually take the momentum from Wednesday and apply it to Thursday. So I don't know where the Leafs are for this one. What are your thoughts that way?
Yeah, well, again, they're probably out there enjoying a little bit of the nice weather, but sometimes if you play a little bit guilty, it's going to be a good game. So I'm going to see them come out of the gates gangbusters. I want to see a good 5 minutes as we look for 5 shots, 5 hits, 5 big plays in the first 5 minutes. I could see them coming out to try to catch this Nashville team that's been sleeping majority of the season and have them stay sleeping giants. So again, if they stay disciplined, get in on the forecheck, turn pucks over, sort of take the will away from Nashville, I could easily see them being up 2 goals early. But remember, that hasn't spelt a guarantee win, as they've blown a couple leads in the last couple games. So I would expect a good start from Toronto, but Nashville understanding, hey, we have some pride to play for. I could see it being a tight checking but close game ultimately as well.
So Nashville 4-5-1 their last 10. They had a 4-game winning streak, then went 0-3-1. Penalty kill is pretty good, 81.8%. That's 8th best in the league. Power play not so good. Goals against not so good. And they don't score a bunch. So this is an opportunity for the Leafs to take advantage early and often and keep it going tonight for what would be their 4th straight win in a row. And it could be a big day in the Atlantic Division standings as well. We'll set up the opening faceoff for you next. This is Leafs Game Night on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
Alpine News Network is here live with...
Cheers, insiders. Go Leafs, go. Thank you for being here during our Bracket Mania campaign. I am going crazy bouncing between all of these different streams. Go Leafs, go. Go TFC, go. And good luck to your college basketball team. Joe, take it away.
Hey, insiders. First and foremost, Mike and Allison want to thank you for being part of this amazing community. With March Madness in full swing, we need your help. The TSI Bracket Mania campaign is raising money for SickKids Hospital in Toronto through the Final Four. A portion of the proceeds from every single game goes directly to SickKids. Click the pinned link in the chat or the description to donate. Every bit helps. Can't donate? No problem. Just share the campaign with your friends or on social media to make a huge impact. This is Joe Bowen, the voice of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Click the link and holy Mackinac, let's help heal the future.
Isn't it? Together, we can make sure everyone has what they need, like food, housing, good jobs, and mental health supports. Join people like Jesse to build a better GTA. Donate today at unitedwaygt.org. Thanks, Jesse.
Your sneakers are staring directly at you. You try to look away, but you can't. You're lace to face. They're saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, and your six-pack won't be either. But you've got to start somewhere. Stop staring. Put us on. Take that first step, or lunge, or squat. Start small. Start somewhere. Join for $7.99 every 2 weeks at fitforlast.ca and experience fitness simplified. Some conditions apply. Fit for Last. Everybody happy.
Saturday night in Nashville, and things are looking good. Just a week ago, the concern meter overheated with a home loss to Ottawa. Since then, it's been a great week. Wins at home to Calgary and Colorado, then Thursday night in New York against the Rangers, and an assortment of reasons why the winning streak is alive and well. And so, we wonder which part of the team will take care of business tonight, or will it be the full look? Well, let's find out. Molson Canadian Leafs hockey starts now.
It's time for Molson Canadian Leafs hockey on TSN 1050 and the Leafs Radio Network. The Leafs live here.
Oh, yes, they do. Welcome to Molson Canadian Leafs hockey on a Saturday night. Jim Taddy and former NHLer Anthony Stewart with you. The starting lineup is brought to you by Molson, the official beer sponsor of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Matthews between Marner and Knies. Tavares between Nylander and McMahon. Domi centering Robertson and Holmberg. Camp centering Lawrence and Lawton. On the blue line, the pairings are Riley Carlo, McCabe Tanev, and Ben OEL and Wall as the starters. Stu, what do you make of all that?
Well, I think the balance of the lineup is tilting a little bit top heavy again as McMahon is slotted on the flank of Tavares and Nylander, and it's worth noting that John Tavares scored his 1100th point last game against the New York Rangers, so congratulations to him as well. Great, the defense has been playing great, really good chemistry between Carlo and Riley as well. We saw McCabe with 3 assists last game against the Rangers. Tanev has been playing great, so the defense have been a stalwart the last couple games as well too. So for me, I just want to see continued chemistry building too. I want to see how Holmberg does against with Domi and Robertson as well, and just see if that first line can continue to dominate. So this is a team against Nashville that is very, very low in most statistical categories amongst teams in the NHL, near the end, near the last place in most of them. So it could be cookie night, but you cannot turn it into a track meet, as this Nashville team has some guys that could put the puck in the net too. So a good solid two-way game could lead to success for Toronto, and we'll see if they can do it off and pull it off tonight to win their 4th game in a row.
Tonight's Coach's Comment is powered by your Ontario Honda dealers. Score a $1,500 Honda bonus in the CRV Sport. Conditions apply. Visit HondaOntario.com. Coach Barube first answering if Carlo has played to his expectations.
I think, I think he's still, there's things that he wants to do better, that he can do better. But overall, I think he's been a good defender for us. And the penalty kill, he's done a good job there. And we just keep building his game. But, he's right there what we expected.
What does he need to do better, do you think?
Well, I think there's some puck movement that he could see better, or just make the play better, quicker maybe, things like that. That'll come. I mean, sometimes that takes a while, and it's not like he's the type of guy that's going to make all these fancy plays. It's just directness and, getting used to how we want to move it quick and get going. So that's one area maybe that, he can sharpen up a little bit.
Knies is scoring goals, but he also has 150 hits this season. From the beginning when you met him to now, like what's allowed him to evolve to become the player he is?
I think, taking another step of being that power forward we talk about, and his job, what his job is on this team and on the line he's playing on. Being physical is very important. And with his skating and strength, getting in on the forward check like he is, and I think that's allowed him to get the physical hits that is needed, is mostly on the forward check, I would say. He forward checks extremely well. He gets in on top of people quickly, closes, and makes contact and wins a lot of those puck battles.
With the David's point, there's a short list of how many guys are as productive as he is of how much hits that he has. So how unique a player is he when he's at his highest level?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's very unique in my opinion with those two stats you talked about. There's not a lot of guys that can do what he can do, in my opinion. There is guys for sure that do that and play that way. There's not a lot though, so he's in pretty unique company, in my opinion.
What allowed you to decide to go with Joseph Hall again tonight here?
Well, it's looking at his last games and where he's at, and just thinking ahead a little bit all the time about upcoming games. And I love the rotation. I know I played 2 guys in a row a little bit here and there, but I like the rotation, and I just don't feel like I want to get away from that yet.
With playoffs creeping up here, how close do you feel you are to locking in a third line?
It's a little bit of a battle still. I think Max and Robbie have played a ton together this year. And I moved Bobby McMahon up, and I work in pairs more than lines, I would say. Always have. I'm not, you got to mix things up once in a while, and we do that. We'll move a winger here and there around, but, I still think that, Homer, I really liked him with Tavares and Nylander for a bit. He did a real good job there, I thought. And I feel like he can do that same job with these guys. A little more puck possession for these guys in the zone, which would be good. He's good at that. And getting the puck to Max or Robbie or whatever, and they do their thing. But that's kind of what I'm looking at there with that line, with Homer on it.
Coach Barube, pregame, going over a lot of topics. Let's go back to Carlo and throw in Lawton, just because Lawton's the left wing on that fourth line. He was acquired to be the third line center. So let's talk about pace of execution and speed that this team plays with, which would be different, I would suggest, than how Boston plays and how Philadelphia plays. How much of a curve is that for those two players?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit harder for Scott Lawton, right? Because, again, that's not a prototypical third or fourth line where it's just chip and chase and, a heaviness controlled puck possession type lineup, right? This is a team that is, tries to produce off the rush. And, you have Lorentz that can skate, Nick Robertson and Domi. Those guys are rush offense type players. So it takes a little bit of time to maybe adjust. But I think for Lawton, it's just playing within himself. Don't go out there and say, I got to score the big goal or have the big fight. You just have to be the best version of himself. But I think Carlo has blended in very, very perfectly. He's come in, just played his game, transitions really, really well, plays big, heavy, clears out the front of the net, and most importantly, he breaks up plays, especially on the rush. So as a defenseman, it's easier to play your game, but sometimes when you're a Toronto native coming back home, there's factors. Just think about all the Leafs over the years that are from Toronto, good old Toronto boy, that it takes a bit of a time to find your way. So the good thing is Lawton's not a pending UFA. He has next year as well, and I can see you're going to see his worth when it matters most, and that's the playoffs.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the Carlo thing, that's just such a sigh of relief for the entire organization to have somebody who can complement Morgan Riley.
Yes, and again, big, strong, long, and it's almost like a Jake Muzzin type player. He's not as heavy as Jake Muzzin, or I think he can skate probably a little bit better. And since Muzzin has been gone with injuries, like they've been really missing him and missing a player like that. So Carlo has some big shoes to fill, but he comes in and what he does best just plays within himself. He doesn't go and try to rush the puck or make super sauce passes. He just comes in and simplifies it. And it's sometimes the hardest but easiest thing to do in today's NHL.
So let's go to that blue line pairing group. McCabe, Tanev, Riley, Carlo, Benoit, and OEL. When I say those pairings, to me, obviously McCabe and Tanev is shut down, but the other two pairings have elements that are similar, don't they?
Yeah, I really like Benoit and OEL as your third line, third pairing, right? Because Benoit just comes in, simplify again, another guy, get it off the glass, get it out. But he's been laying some punishing hits and getting involved physically. And the same thing with OEL. And he's shown that he can rush the puck. He's got great edge work, and he's a bit of a nasty player as well. So I would say they're not pure shutdown, but, they play a pretty two-way game as well. But Tanev and McCabe, you look at some of those underlining numbers, it's probably amongst the top pairings in today's NHL. So it's great because when you don't have the big Quinn Hughes or the Makar that can go end-to-end every single shift, I would make my roster similar to this. It's not pretty, but it gets the job done. And most importantly, it protects the goaltenders, right? It protects the goaltenders where it makes them look good. So, kudos to True Living and staff, as this is a really, really good solid lineup, and I think you're going to see them shut down a lot of teams' top pairings in the playoffs too.
Well, it's got size, it's got snarl, it has a sprinkling of offense. It doesn't have the offensive upside that you'd like, but it's effective. As the six guys there, it's a pretty good unit, isn't it?
It's consistent, right? Consistent. Yeah. And, when you have a forward group that can be, sort of inconsistent where, if they're not scoring, there's some elements that they're missing. This group, most importantly, you're going to get the same thing 90% of the games, just good, solid two-way hockey. And if I'm a coach, that's a coach's dream.
Yeah, and a quick thought here. Obviously, Jake McCabe had a good week as well. He's got some offensive upside that maybe is camouflaged by all the other things he does.
Yes, he's been probably the most important Leaf, I think, the last 4 or 5 games. Is he's elevated his game. He's making big plays, and he's getting in on the score sheet. So it's perfect timing right now, as you're going to need some unsung heroes. We saw Tanev be the guy there, too. Carlo's playing great. I'm still looking for Riley to have a more pop as well. But McCabe, I think, has been, next to Tanev, probably the most important defenseman on this Leafs roster.
And Wall starts in goal. He's had a good week as well, so we'll see what all that means. He's going to step out. The opening faceoff is next with Ralphie and Bonesy. This is Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN 1050, the iHeart Radio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
It comes around every year. People begin to scramble for information. It's a beast like no other, and VSiN is here to help you navigate the waters of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. It's Sharp Week, and our team of college hoops experts will guide you through your brackets. Want to know who the wager?
What's up, insiders? All right, I am flying around the world with these college basketball games. Leafs game just about to start. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. And if you're new here, and let's have some fun in the chat tonight. Let's cheer on our Maple Leafs. Oh man, the chat's messed up. Son of a pup, because I'm not on the page. But there you go. We have 1,687 watching the Texas A&M and Michigan game. So I'm heading there to put my pretty face in over there and listen to this game and set up the TFC stream on a computer that has not held a TSI stream yet. We'll see you back in the chat. I'll fix this and go Leafs go. Big win tonight. We need to get the win. Let's go. We're going to beat the Predators. We got to beat Nashville, right? Come on, it's Nashville. Even though I know they got good players. I know.
Where they made the Power Play.
Weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern
on NHL Network Radio.
Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app. The Point with Boomer Gordon.
For months I've been listening to hockey people warn the Sabres. Don't move on from Dylan Cousins. This is the one you'll regret. The fact that you're trading in division is amazing to me. This guy can come back and haunt you like every Sabre does. But if I'm an Ottawa Senators fan, Jake, I'm over the moon on this trade.
Points with Boomer Gordon.
1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio.
Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app.
Hey, Jim Rome here. What's cracking?
Hi.
Hope you're enjoying the game. And when you're not taking in a game, find us on Sirius Channel 161, XM Channel 206. In fact, we'll be there every weekday afternoon, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. If you've got something you want to break down from this game, you know where to find us. Just make sure you have a take and don't suck.
Step your game up.
That has never changed. In fact, the show has never changed. We're just back home. And it's great to be there. Sirius 161, XM 206. See you there.
It's soccer's most thrilling league.
Only the Premier League can make you feel like this.
And now every match is on the Sirius XM app.
Can you believe it?
From the title race.
This is remarkable. Keeps this title charge on track, surely.
To the relegation fight.
The impossible may still be possible.
Hear every English Premier League match on Sirius XM FC 157 and the Sirius XM app. Just search for your favorite club.
Nothing puts you closer to the action than Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
Dallas already was the highest scoring team in the league since January 1st. They're so deep. They made a trade, like Michael Granlund there. Tyler Seguin may come back. Rantanen will fit in there beautifully. And another sort of guy drawn to the southern United States, no state tax team, good organization, and wanting to kind of set up shop long term there. So obviously it makes sense.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91. The world's most thrilling league is now in the palm of your hand. Hear every English Premier League match all season long on the SiriusXM app. Just search for your favourite team. Making your lousy commute fun. Overdrive with Hayes Noodles and Yo Jog every weekday, 4 to 7 p.m. on TSN 1050.
High into the corner for Tavares to try to reach. He won't get to it in time, but it's kept in at the point and shot wide of the goal by Benoit. Far boards for Delgazio. Trying to work along the wall with McMahon. Stolen by Domi. Domi stops up back of the goal. Tried to flip it in front, but it went off his stick and is cleared to center ice, forcing Tanev back after it. To McCabe, ahead for Robertson. Nicky's in over the line. Stops up and then couldn't control the puck as it goes back of the Nashville goal. Predators in their mustard yellow. Leafs in their road whites. Pontus Holmberg cuts around back of his own goal. Plays it up on the right wing for Domi. Robertson is with him. The pass into the slot. And it got onto the stick of Pontus Holmberg, but he couldn't control it to get a shot. Nashville back the other way will launch it high into the Toronto zone as changes are coming. Brandon Carlo back in his own zone. Got it up on the wing. Camp couldn't get it into the zone. Riley will try to Carlo. He'll shoot it in. And out of the net is Saros to play it around the boards. And up on the wing it'll come and brought out at center ice now and dumped into the Toronto zone. Back of the net goes Svechkov. Played on the far boards. Trying to get to it is Cole Smith. Smith goes into the corner. Svechkov with it now trying to center. Couldn't make a play. It goes back on the far wing. Bellows keeping it around the boards to the near side. Blankenberg pinches to keep it alive for the first bit of zone pressure here for the Nashville Predators. I'll tell you, their roster looks like the leaderboard at the Masters, doesn't it? There's not a plus player in the roster just about.
I mean, it has been a tough season. I think surprising. You and I talked about it before we came on the air that you looked at every move they made. Jonathan Marchessault was Conn Smythe Trophy winner 2 years ago. Steven Stamkos, a 40-goal scorer last year. Ryan O'Reilly, Luke Shen. There's not one move they made that you said, boy, that's not going to work out. And yet, as a group, they end up having a tough start. They lose the first 5 games of the regular season, 4 of them on home ice, and never have been able to recover.
And you would think some very good friends of mine, Andrew Burnett, Derek McKenzie, Sudburyans both, Darby Hendrickson, that whole coaching staff is probably going to be dismissed at the end of the season, and we get an offside at the Toronto blue line, which will stop play and bring it back into the neutral zone. A disbelieving Philip Forsberg having difficulties believing that. The referees are Pierre Lambert along with Bron Blandini, and Justin Johnson and Brad Kovacic are the linesmen here tonight.
In March, so we mentioned the Conn Smythe Trophy winner 2 years ago last year with Vegas, 42 goals, a career high for him. So you bring in a couple of 40-goal scorers, you don't think you'd be last in the league in offense.
Well, and playing at even strength, they're minus 49 on the season. The Maple Leafs are plus 16 overall in that department, which is testament to the way they've played. Back of the net, far side, centering pass, looking for Tavares was Nylander. Nylander getting to a loose puck in the corner, too well covered and knocked down on the play. Tavares backs him up though and comes away with it. Got it back to the point, wrist shot coming, pad save, and a good one made there by Saros. And it's cleared ahead and down into the Leaf zone, and out of the net comes Wall to punch it out into neutral ice. Stamkos sends it back into the zone. Leafs are back retrieving it. Changes being made by both teams. As Benoit plays it off the boards to center. Brought right back in again by Nashville, and a weak shot off his stick goes into the corner. McCarron trying to come out with it, and a shot from the far boards is swallowed up by Joseph Wall, and he'll stop play and bring a face-off in the Toronto zone.
The game in Vegas, 3 goals and 7 shots in 14 minutes and 31 seconds. Since then, Wall 3 points, 3-0 in the 3 games, 1.95 goals against, and a .939 save percentage. And I think easily his best start of the year was at home against Colorado. 2-1 win where he stops 38 out of 39. Steven Lorentz had the shorthanded goal to win it in the third period.
Face off in the Toronto zone. 15:24 to go in a scoreless first. Back to the point. Long shot in traffic. Down his Wall again. And he'll cover up on that. I was talking about the Leafs schedule, and Nashville, Philadelphia, San Jose, all teams that are not in the postseason. Then the LA Kings, and then Anaheim. Now, that's the West trip, San Jose, LA, and Anaheim, which will come after they play Philadelphia at home on Tuesday night.
And the record against non-playoff teams this year, this is the reverse of what we've seen from the Leafs in previous seasons. They're 25-8-2 against non-playoff teams, but just 17-16-1 against teams that are in the playoffs. For the last few years, it's been the opposite, right? They've struggled against non-playoff teams.
14 games remaining. One-timer off the wing, went wide of the net, pushed to the far side. Lorenz is able to one-hand it out at center, and the Predators get it back to the league blue line without any problem, but it comes back to the near wing, and it is shot in by Lorenz. Saros out of the goal to play it into the corner. Up on the wing, it's pushed out at center ice, and the Leafs trying to get back. And then Lawton had knocked off his stick, but the Leafs are able to regain it in their own zone. Drop pass on the near wing. McCabe off the boards and into the zone, off the stick of Chris Tanev. Leafs are changing, so are the Predators, as it's shot by Spencer Stastny down into the Toronto zone. Loose puck comes in front with a shot. Blocker out, and a good save made there by Wall. He almost poke-checked it away as well as he sent that stick telegraphing out. Puck batted ahead. Leafs don't get it into the zone with Matthews. Now here's Marner trying to get it in over the line. Knies fans on it, and the puck comes back to the league blue line. Quickly up ahead. Matthews across the line. Engaged there as it comes around the boards and back of the net. Knies couldn't get there in time. Played by Colton Sissons up on the wing, but not out. And then it is pushed to center ice by the Predators. Play very scrambly here as the Leafs turn it back into the Nashville zone. Play it around the boards back of the net. Matthews taken off the disc. And the Predators get it out into the center ice area. Back for Matthews. Played to an open wing to allow change. And it is Riley by himself getting it ahead now on the wing, and it'll be played by Marner deep into the zone. Bobby McMahon, who had the best scoring chance early, gets it back to the blue line. Coming off the boards is a shot by Nylander, and that went wide. And the rebound comes all the way back at center. McCabe collided with the official trying to get back into the zone. Officials aren't having a real good week as far as, well, let's put it one way. Really good week for the Leafs at one point, not so much others. Shot here is directed wide of the goal by Wall. Another shot stopped by Wall as well. 5 shots on goal for Nashville at this point. And Tanev getting it around back of the net. No scores. We're 13 minutes to go in the first period. Predators backhanded down into the Toronto end. You talk about that Leafs schedule. The last 2 games of the regular season in Buffalo, which could be an absolutely enormous game as far as the division is concerned, and at home against Detroit.
If the Red Wings are still hanging around, that could be a big game for them.
For both teams, yes. Well, I'll tell you, the game in Buffalo might be interesting to see how many people end up across the border as the point shot here knocked away by Wall into the corner. Brought out by Michael Bunting, late of the Leafs and Penguins. And the Leafs will get a hold of it and clear it high to center, and a race for it. Out of the goal is Saros. He is collided with on a hit as the puck goes down into the Toronto end. Apparently he's all right. Play has gone on. We couldn't see the end result, but he came out to play the puck. And if you're out there, you're not protected an awful lot. You're open for being run into. It wasn't intentional by any means, but he got spun around pretty good. I'm sure we'll get a replay of that to get a look at it when we get a stoppage of play. And here it is now as Saros catches that puck.
Yeah, I mean, it's a race to the puck, and 2 guys going in different directions. I'm not sure if maybe the Nashville defenseman was able to hold up. Yes, just holds Holmberg up enough. That was England. Or that collision could have been much worse.
You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Washington Capitals superstar Alex Ovechkin is on the verge of passing Wayne Gretzky atop the NHL all-time goals list. Follow his chase on NHL Network Radio, where you'll hear every Caps game.
And Ovechkin scores!
Listen to the action on Sirius XM's 24/7.
Cheers, Insiders! Go Leafs go! Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I'm bouncing around between all of these basketball games. Thank you for helping us with the Bracket Mania campaign for Sick Kids Hospital. I wanted to get a message in, but I couldn't record it in time as the game's starting in 2 minutes. Joe, take it away!
Every game, every play, every moment, you can make a difference. With every like, share, and subscribe, the Toronto Sports Insider community is turning March Madness into a movement for Sick Kids Hospital. Every interaction helps raise donations for life-saving treatments. It's simple. Watch the games, fill out a bracket, and spread the word. The more we grow, the bigger our impact. This is Joe Bowen, the voice of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Push to 1,000 if you wanted to. We played 3 more seasons.
Get the latest opinion and analysis you need on the home of hockey, NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph. Leafs are down in Nashville, tangling with the Predators. No score. Puck pushed out into neutral ice. Evangelista gets it down into the Leaf zone. Wall out of the net, playing it around the boards nicely, finding Knies. A backhand pass from Marner. Good eye-hand coordination there to knock it out of the air and get it in deep. Now it's around the boards to the far side, and Ryan O'Reilly will get the puck ahead, and now Philip Forsberg is across the line. Forsberg from a sharp angle, sent it wide of the net. Rebound on the right wing boards, down into the corner for O'Reilly. O'Reilly trying to play it along the wall, but loses it, and Knies punches it out at center ice. Took a high stick there, and there's going to be a penalty to Luke Evangelista for clipping Matthew Knies, who is desperately trying to bleed.
Yeah, trying to show the official there's a little more DNA evidence there. I think what it was for Evangelista, I think he slashes the stick of Knies.
Nashville penalty number 77, 2-minute minor for high stick.
Yeah, and then the stick blade, it was a one-handed slash. But once it was stick on stick, blade of Evangelista's stick comes right up into the chops of Matthew Knies, and the Leafs will go on the first power play of the night. Over 1 against Rangers. Sorry, Joe.
No, quite all right. Brought to you by your Ontario Subaru dealers. Enjoy winter to the fullest with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive. Visit your local Subaru dealer to book a test drive today. Leafs keep the puck in with Matthews on the far boards. Does a nice job of shielding it. Got it into the slot now. Tavares with a shot. He scores! Johnny Toronto is on a roll, and the Maple Leafs have a 1-0 lead, and the power play stays hot by getting the puck to the net.
This starts, Joe, off the face-off where Mitch Marner makes a great play to keep the puck in at the blue line. I think Nashville's looking at it to see if, in fact, he was able to keep it in. Then Marner fed it down to Matthews. Back to Marner, who, guess what? Perfect touch pass to the high slot for Tavares. And Matthew Knies is the other part of this equation. He is right in front of the Nashville goaltender, UC Saros. Takes his eyes away, and that allows John Tavares to take it to the net. And from fairly well out, pick a corner and give the Leafs a 1-0 lead.
It is the 5th time in Toronto that John Tavares has hit the 30-goal mark. He has just been the level of consistency throughout the course of his tenure with the Maple Leafs. It is just automatic. He's going to be around the 30-goal mark as it's punched down into the Nashville zone. Camp trying to get it along the boards. It comes back into the slot. A pass on the right wing and a wrist shot. Another shot from the point is stopped there by Saros off the stick of Benoit. Benoit D to D to keep it in. OEL plays it around the boards. Nashville trying to get to it. A reverse by Stastny will free the puck up. And Andreas Englund will get it to the line, but not out. And it's pushed out at center ice and cleared by the Predators into the Toronto zone. 9:47 to play in the first period. 1-0 Toronto. And it'll be Marner and Matthews with the assists on the power play. And the goal comes at 9:16. Leafs back in over the line. Robertson couldn't settle down a puck to get a shot away as he was in too tight. Marchessault will get the puck out at center and send it back into his own end. Leafs lead at 1-0. And their power play has been hot, Mr. Ralph.
Yep, 4 for 4 the two previous games.
Here's a point shot coming, blocked in front of the net off the stick of Carlo. Played out at center ice, and Brandon Carlo has it again. Waits for teammates to get onside and sends it deep into Nashville territory. Played out into the center ice area. 3-on-2 rush here developing for Nashville. Into the slot, and a pass on the wing, and a shot went just wide on the far short side for goaltender Joseph Wall. Rolled back down in on goals, swallowed up by Saros. With traffic arriving, he puts the orange gloves down on top of it and brings a stoppage of play. John Tavares, 1,101 points on his illustrious career. This one's a goal. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
From the
Cheers, Insiders. Go Leafs, go. Thank you for being here during our Bracket Mania campaign. I am going crazy bouncing between all of these different streams. Go Leafs, go. Go TFC, go. And good luck to your college basketball team. Joe, take it away.
Hey, Insiders. First and foremost, Mike and Allison want to thank you for being part of this amazing community. With March Madness in full swing, we need your help. The TSI Bracket Mania campaign is raising money for SickKids Hospital in Toronto through the Final Four. A portion of the proceeds from every single game goes directly to SickKids. Click the pinned link in the chat or the description to donate. Every bit helps. Can't donate? No problem. Just share the campaign with your friends or on social media to make a huge impact. This is Joe Bowen, the voice of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Click the link, and holy Mackinac, let's help heal the future.
The Bear Country Guide, a family road trip carrier, a muddy road controller, extreme wind stabilizer, plus a... And we're out of time. Subaru is the multi-tool that masters every unpredictable weather condition. Visit your local Subaru dealer for great lease and finance options.
John Tavares gets the Leafs on the board with his 30th of the season from Marner and Matthews, and for JT, that is his 11th power play marker of the season, which is another area of consistency that he is so good. He now leads the team power play goals, one more than Willie Nylander.
That is the 7th time Tavares has hit the 30-goal mark. The 4th time with the Leafs. Pardon me, the 3rd time with the Leafs. Of course, his career high was 47 goals when he played on the line with Mitch Marner in the 2018-19 season.
Morgan Riley trying to keep the puck in, had it hit a leg. He goes back into his own zone to get it up on the wing to get it out. Shot in on a delay, and Wall will leave it back of the goal, and Morgan Riley is there. You can certainly see that Riley and Brandon Carlo are getting more and more comfortable with one another. You've got a wonderful shutdown pair with McCabe and Tanev. OEL playing very well with Benoit. Their defense is settled into a nice group and complementing one another. And their goaltending has been outstanding. And if you're going to have a good playoff run, those are some big factors right there as a rolling puck comes in front of the Toronto goal. Off the boards, played by Sissons, back of the net. McCarron trying to work the boards to play it back to the point and does. Oh, wrist shot coming. That deflected off a body and went wide of Wall's cage. Comes back to the near point. Another shot, this time blocked by Tavares, and he'll get it out at center in need of a change. And so are the Predators, as going back is Brady Shea to organize back in his own zone. Blankenberg got it ahead. Brought to the line and in by Forsberg. Forsberg stops up. Looks for a backhand. Sends it around the boards back of the net. Chipped into the corner. Played back to the point. Walking the line with it at Barron. A shot blocked in front of the Leaf goal. Played off the boards. Knies trying to get it freed up, and he does. Matthews breaking with Marner, but they're 2-on-3. It goes down into the corner. Matthews chipping it into the boards. Comes out of it with a shot. And Saros is there and holding. And we talked about the re-emergence of Austin Matthews. The biggest thing that I'm noting is he's shooting it from everywhere.
Yeah, and but he's in a position, he seems to have the puck so much more. And that really seemed to start in the game against Calgary. Now, he did not have a goal against the New York Rangers, but still, that line, I mean, Knies scores coming off the bench on a feed from Willie Nylander, but that line still created opportunities. And, you know, when you get big body in Knies and the takeaways from Matthews and Marner.
Oh, watch out, right off the face-off. Marner scores! Or was it Knies?
No, you're right. It was Marner.
Marner right off the face-off. Matthews won it cleanly, and Marner snapped it home. It's 2-0. Now, that was quick.
Now, sometimes, yeah, the takeaways are right off the face-off. I mean, this is a blink of an eye. You think it was a glitch in the video game. But, I mean, this was Matthews drew it back on the backhand. Marner is just above the hash mark in the circle to the left of Saros. And, I mean, before you can blink, the puck is back and off Marner's stick into the net for a 2-0 Leaf lead.
Marner's and Matthews with a couple of points each. Marner getting his 22nd goal of the season. My goodness.
He has not scored since he got 2 in Colorado.
Well, I glanced down at my sheet just as the faceoff was coming, and whammo. And an icing call coming here against the Nashville Predators.
Nashville comes into the game last in goals for 173 goals. Calgary coming into today had 178. How many did they get today? Calgary 4?
I believe 4. I can double check for you.
3 overtime.
Yep.
So it's been a struggle offensively for the Predators. So the Leafs just have to keep pushing. And you might find that the resolve and the desire to come back is challenging for the Nashville Predators.
Delayed offside, whistle down by the linesman. And a face-off will come in the center ice area with 6:20 left to play in period number 1. You were talking about how many times they've been shut out.
Yeah, 10 times on the year. Now, that is not the NHL record.
But you're going to tell us what the NHL record is.
The NHL record is 20 times.
20!
20.
20 times in one season.
Well,
it had to be an 82-game season, right?
44 games. The Chicago Blackhawks.
Yes.
Were shut out 20 times in 44 games.
In what year was that, Mr. Ralph?
I believe Bobby Magoo is the leading scorer with 4 points for Chicago.
Oh, really? Long shot goes wide of the Predators' goal.
Different era. The Pittsburgh Pirates were shut out the second most times in NHL hit.
Actually, I think last year they were shut out just about that many times, too. Scores from the blue line, but was it a high stick?
Boy, Saros pointed right away, and the referees are going to meet. Scott Laughton may have been the Leaf that touched it. And this was just a harmless-looking shot from the right point. If it is not only the first goal, but the first point for Scott Laughton.
Well, we didn't even see it on the screen where it touched his stick. So now, wait a minute.
They got to look at it for sure. But I did not see a signal, no goal.
There's a goal following the tip.
All right. So now that it's up to George Burnett Andrew Burnett.
Yep.
George Burnett, of course, has coached the Ontario League for a long time. Ooh, I think this is okay.
Yeah, he ducks.
Got Lawton.
Lawton.
Yeah.
The Oakville native may have gotten his first.
Ooh, but now that other angle.
That angle doesn't look as good.
The thing is, he's sort of leaning down. Now you've got to remember, it's got to be below the crossbar. It's not shoulders. But Andrew Burnett has signaled that he wants this reviewed, and I think the big part of this show is
you got to
go down. Yeah, you're down 3-0. You might as well take a chance.
So the officials are looking at this. The shot taken at the blue line by Brandon Carlo is.
I think it's a high stick.
I kind of agree with you. I think it is too.
Now this is the best angle. But from
that angle, it looks like it might be right at the crossbar, doesn't it?
Yeah, and
Here we go. Well, it didn't take long. I think they're going to wave this off.
After review was determined that there's no goal on the play. The play was deflected with a high stick.
All right, so Scott Lawton will have to wait. And a pretty smart challenge by the Nashville Predators. I don't think you want to be down 3 on home ice. I mean, if you're down 3, you might as well gamble, right? By the way, 2:09 to go in Utah. The Utah Hockey Club is holding on to a 5-4 lead over the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa just behind Toronto in the standings. Florida was losing 6-3 to Washington. So it could be moving day for the Leafs.
Played off the boards and down into the Toronto zone. A good hit there. Benoit taking his man down. Now the puck along back of the net. Actually, it was Tanev who took him down. Puck to the point. Shot blocked. Rebound. Pushed ahead, and the Leafs break 3-on-1. Tavares, the wheelman, right wing side. Tried to settle it over, and it was just out of the reach of Nylander. Marchessault comes back the other way. Drops it off on the far side. Another turnover. And this time Stamkos turned the puck over. Into the slot now for OEL to Nylander. Doesn't shoot it. Trying to get it in front and didn't have much on it. Knies unable to come up with it. Wow, 2 huge giveaways there. Was it Stamkos both times?
Not sure, but the feed from Tavares, who was almost right between McMahon and Nylander.
Here's Marner coming to center. Plays it off the near boards into the zone with 4.5 minutes to go in the period. Played up on the wing. It is going to come to center ice. Riley for Marner. Back to Riley, deep in Toronto territory. Up the middle it goes to Matthews. He makes an elusive move. Comes through neutral ice with a pass that is just deflected by Marner in over the line, but grabbed off by Justin Barron, who gets it out at center. He stumbles and falls, but the Predators get it to the Toronto zone, but not in deep. Knies against the boards. Can't come up with it. Played to the line. Back checking diligently there was Brandon Carlo to take it away from LaRue, who was trying to get across the blue line. And the Leafs get it up on the left wing, and Robertson stumbles but regains his skates to get it in on the right side for Domi. Domi centers, and it went right by Pontus Holmberg. Played out at center ice and down into the Leaf end. Icing waved off. Benoit runs his man to the end boards, gets tangled up with him there. The puck is pushed around the wall to the far point. Nashville keeping it in. Sent around back of the goal now for McCarron, trying to come out in front. Good play by Robertson to block it. Domi couldn't get a pass from him, though. Sissons then with a shot from an angle. Joseph Wall's going to take that. And now Benoit is in a bit of a shoving session right in the goal crease. Joseph Wall's got himself a ringside seat. McCarron doing the
big boy, isn't he?
Yes, he's got a little size to him, height anyway. But John Tavares just trying to get that pass across, and it was, you're right, about a half a foot shy of Willie's and half a foot shy of...
And was just tipped.
Yes.
When he went to saucer it over.
2-0 Toronto. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
It comes around every year. People begin to scramble for information. It's a beast like no other. And VSiN is here to help you navigate the waters of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. It's Sharp Week, and our team of college hoops experts will guide you through your brackets. Want to know who the wagering sharps are picking? Tune into Sharp Week on VSiN, Sirius XM 158. Sharps! You're going to need a bigger bet.
NHL Morning Skate.
Defending Stanley Cup champion, General Manager Bill Zito. You have to be cognizant of the chemistry when you go out and make a potential trade, don't you?
We enjoy a little bit of a benefit now where the room is so strong that they can absorb a lot. We just want seamless guys who come in. Their leaders are Reinhart, Kachuk, Barkov, Bobrovsky. That part, it takes care of itself.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
General manager of the Winnipeg Jets, Kevin Cheveldayoff. What would finishing first overall mean to the organization, Kevin?
Well, I think any time that you can finish in an area where you're getting recognized, it's special. But again, the important thing for us is process. Is when we buy into playing the way we need to play, then we feel comfortable that we'll win more games than not, and then you let the chips fall where they may.
The Power Play weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Join me, Scott Laughlin, and Gord Stellick, along with former NHLer Mike Johnson for NHL Morning Skate, weekday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Some good news from out of town.
Yeah, Florida Panthers lose in Washington to the Capitals 6-3. That was 6-3 after the second period, actually 5 minutes into the second. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have just given up an empty net goal. Short-handed goal, and are down 6-4 to the Utah Hockey Club. We get a penalty here, I think.
Holding the stick, maybe.
Bolton Citizens, I believe, is the Nashville player going to the keep Bellows.
Yeah. Leafs 1-for-1 with the man advantage. Go to the power play. And it is brought to you by your Ontario Subaru dealers. Enjoy spring, since we're here, to the fullest with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive. Visit your local Subaru dealer to book a test drive today.
Appreciate Subaru not mentioning winner anymore.
Well, it was me. I just changed it. Here's a bouncing puck in front, and it was knocked away by Saros. Played out at center ice. Although it feels like winter today. Marner dropping for Matthews. He has to circle back in his own zone to get some room. He'll start up ice. Works to the right wing side. Drops for Nylander on the wing for Knies. Steered back into the corner for Nylander. Punched around back of the net. Nylander on it along with Matthews. Matthews chips it around the boards. Marner's going to get there to keep it in with a shot. That was blocked, and it is shot down the ice by Nashville. Quick up by the Leafs. Nylander without much momentum, though, coming to the line. Now dropping it back. And the Leafs organizing in the neutral zone. And Matthews goes back. He'll start back in his own zone. Being mirrored there by Colton Sissons. Got it off to Domi as the second unit starting over the boards. Now Domi into the corner. Rushing in there to get a hit in on Delgado. The puck goes along the wall for Knies. Knies back to the point. And it was well out of the reach of Riley, and it's going to go all the way back into the Toronto zone. 44 seconds left in this power play. Minute 57 in the period. Leafs trying to add to a 2-0 lead. Domi shooting the puck in. It gets past Saros and around the boards to the far side. Saros took a tumble and went down. The puck comes loose now. The Leafs have it back to the blue line, but it's going to come outside the line as Robertson and Riley couldn't connect. Riley up on the left wing. Domi slips it in. Round the boards, it'll go to the far side. Leafs get a couple of bodies in on the forecheck there against McCarron. That's wedged up against the boards back of the goal. 7 seconds left in the period. And played up on the wing, but blocked there by Domi. McCarron can't get it out. Domi against the boards, trying to free it up. The puck comes back. And it will be pushed out at center ice as the penalty has expired. And it's back into the Toronto end. Minute 4 to go in the period.
1 minute remaining in the period.
And a long lead pass deflects to center. Off the stick there of Scotty Lawton. Puck comes back. The Leafs bring it right back. Lorenz gets it down into the zone. Lawton into the forecheck. Got a hit in on the boards. Kept alive there by Tanev, who was able to pinch in there, but it's played out at center and down into the Toronto end, but it's going to be an icing call with 36.4 seconds remaining in the period. Leafs out shooting Nashville 12-6 and have scored 3 goals. 2 of them have counted.
Mentioned that UC Saros has had a tough year, but you go back, he was a Vezina finalist in the 21-22 season. Signed a contract extension that kicks in actually next season, worth about $7.74 million AAV. That'll make him the 10th highest paid goalie in the league, which you thought when he signed that deal was a bargain.
Here's a shot from the point that deflects wide of the goal, kept alive by Matthews. Back of the net, he goes. A centering pass for Knies. That was broken up. Good play by Marner as the Predators will get it down into the Leaf end. 18 seconds left. Tanev playing it up on the boards. Gets it out at center, but Nashville will control. They'll shoot it back down into the Leaf end. Tanev getting to the puck on the far boards. Back of the goal. It'll come around. 4 seconds left. And that will do it. But a penalty will come here.
I think Knies might be getting an interference penalty. And it's unfortunate. I mean, there's 2 seconds left. Puck went around behind the net. Knies is in disbelief. Ryan O'Reilly. Yeah, that's the call. The puck came loose in the corner, and I think he thought, and this is the right call. I think he thought Austin Matthews was going to get there sooner, so it was, I think, Blankenberg, the defenseman, that had jumped down that Knies squeezed out, and it was unnecessary when you look at how much time
was left. Yeah. So Knies will go to the box. There's just a second or 2 left. And the penalty kill is brought to you by CMC Markets. Take your trading to the next level with $0 commission on stocks. Oh, I guess it's going to be right at the end of the period. So the Leafs lead by a score of 2-0. And Jim Taddy and Anthony Stewart are standing by. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050, the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
It's rock you can feel deep down in your soul. Songs that remind us of where we've been. And inspire us to keep going. It's Sirius XM Southern Rock. And it's one of over 200 channels you can hear anytime with the Sirius XM app on your phone or at home on your computer, Alexa, TV, or other internet-connected devices.
NHL Morning Skate.
Defending Stanley Cup champion, General Manager Bill Zito, you have to be...
What's up, insiders? All right, wow, what a start for our Leafs. I love it. Oh, man, these bots are crazy. I'm over here just doing all kinds of March Madness business up in here. We've got big shout out to Don Perico for letting me know that the screen was messed up in the Auburn versus Creighton matchup. So switched it over there, ran over there, did my thing, got it fixed over there. I love it. We've got Don Donaldson in the house, Mr. Roboto, Jeff Mitterling, Fred Waterer, Pierre. What's up, Pierre? Big shout out to Mr. Mark Duffney. Thank you for that donation to our SickKids Bracket Mania campaign, which I am just busting my butt down here with the pink chair. Get out of here. Allison's chair. I've got to order dinner because I'm starving. I'm getting steak. I just want a filet, so I need a steak. We are climbing the subscribers. Thank you, insiders, for... Thank you, insiders, for 90,000 subscribers. Insane. Absolutely insane. Burn with the language in the chat, my man. Come on, dude. It's a good thing I only have chats on like one of the lives right now. I don't trust anybody, and all these bots in the other basketball games are insane. Looks like we're gonna have a dandy in the Auburn versus Creighton game. I've got the TFC game on right here. 0-0 TFC, 17 minutes into that. So intermission, head over to the TFC stream, say hi, chat with Ryan, Sean Boy, Daniel, and Tiago over there cheering on TFC. It's kind of like the Raptors, right? But the Raptors don't have a game tonight. That's tomorrow night. So we'll be bouncing between March Madness all day tomorrow and the Raps against, I believe, San Antonio Spurs. All right, got to go put my pretty little ads in there and promos to the basketball games. We'll see you guys back in the chat during the second period. Go Leafs, go. Good start, 2-0. I love it. And big shout out to TSI Allison. I love you, babe. Go Bella, go. Hope you're doing good out there, kid. We'll see you in the chat. Hey, Pike, there you go. Congrats on 90K, bro. 100K won't be long. Spam those 100K emojis, guys. Spam them because, and then refresh your chats in a little bit because I got to update them for these night games, which was supposed to start right now, but it's not now because the game just ended. So we're going to have to, it's going to be 25 or 30 minutes before the next game starts up from Denver, Colorado. Go Leafs, go. Back to the intermission report. Cheers, everybody. Pike, right on. And there you go, Shield. There you keep up the good work, man. Shield, thank you. 100K right around the corner. We're going to get it. I mean, I'm hoping maybe next weekend, Sweet 16, Elite 8. Let's go. See you back in the chat. Go Leafs, go.
Johnny Toronto is on a roll, and the Maple Leafs have a 1-0 lead, and the power play stays hot by getting the puck to the net.
1-0 then, 2-0 now for the Leafs over Nashville after 20 minutes of play. TSN After 20 is brought to you by Subaru. Hurry to the all-in-one event for great offers and experience all the features that come standard in a Subaru. Jim Taddy, former NHLer Anthony Stewart with you. Stu, that's quick puck movement on the power play. That has been a signature for the last 2 or 3 weeks. They move it around, they score.
Yes, and great job by John Tavares scoring another goal now. He has 30 on the season, his 7th of his career. And it started off with Austin Matthews making a good puck protection and keeping sort of the puck into the zone, and Tavares just sort of in that bumper spot. And I can tell you, there's very few players that can just not just survive, but thrive in that bumper spot. And Tavares is one of the few guys in the league that can do that. Comes in, gets his feet churning, comes in and rips it home for his 30th of the year. So it was a great play where, some of my notes were slow start, choppy, sloppy, it's going to be one of these nights, to, again, the power play being the difference maker. Now they have power plays in 5 of their last 6. It's been hot. I'm sure it's going to be climbing up the ladder of 6th in the league. So the power play got it going. It sort of got them out of the slump, got them the momentum churning, and got everybody into the game. And then Mitch Marner scoring a beautiful goal right off a face-off play. What a play that was, where the puck was in the net before Saros could even see what was going on there. I think it was in and out. He didn't even think it went in. So great start by Toronto, where it was sort of making to be maybe a choppy game, sloppy game, but they took advantage of a down and out Nashville team. They just got to continue that for the final 40 minutes.
Hey, look, both goals go in before you could say, "Oh no, guy," and it's 2-0. Had to do that. Could be as much as 4-0. Really, they had a 3-on-1. They didn't get a shot on, and then there's the high stick goal. But they had other opportunities. I mean, to me, there's very little pushback from Nashville. Do you agree?
Yes, if I'm Craig Barube, it's like we have to keep our foot on the gas, and this could be cookie night where, you saw Lawton almost score his first as a Maple Leaf that was called back due to a high stick. But, you talk about that 3-on-1, I think that play got broken up, and then they almost went on a breakaway right after that. So this Nashville team, they're very, very bleak outlook on, I guess, the rest of the season where they're mailing it in. I don't know if it's a message to management or, hey, you know what, we don't want to play for the coach, but they just seem discombobulated, for lack of any other adjectives to describe. They're just sort of just going through the motions, almost waiting for the game to finish. And I've noticed there's a lot of Leaf fans in the building. They're cheering. I see them banging on the glass as well too. So it can seem like it's almost an away game for them. But if I'm Toronto, again, you don't want to cheat the game. You want to continue to play the fundamentals, get the pucks out. Protect the goaltender. Woll has been not really challenged much, through those first 20 minutes as well. He's got 6 shots on net, and most of them were from the outside. And just continue to let this Nashville Predators team lull themselves to sleep.
Yeah, so, I mean, we talked in the pregame a lot about what the coach said, called out some veteran players, and then to see Nashville start like that, I mean, obviously, the Leaf story is good, but Nashville is no kickback, and there's 40 minutes to get it, but that's got to be somewhat concerning when you've been called out by your coach.
Yes, and I've played for I haven't played for a lot of good teams. I played for a lot of bad teams and struggling teams in the National Hockey League, and it seems like they're just sort of zoning out on whatever the message is from the coach, right? And it's frustrating as Burnett. He's a guy that played over 1,000 games in the league, and he's sort of earned his respect. But for whatever reason, the players aren't just buying in, right? I saw sort of the pan to the bench during the review there, and they didn't even seem relieved. They're just like, okay, I guess let's go out there. It looks like a beer league night. I was in the Hockey Helps You homeless event yesterday. It just seemed like guys are out there just trying to get their workout in for the night. So it sucks because Nashville is a great city. The fans deserve a winning product, and there's some great players now that want to continue a great legacy that they had. So we'll see if they can turn it around. But any way you dice it spells good for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they just continue to try to build on consistency, get some chemistry, and have some guys to continue to perform and maybe get out of their slumps or extend point streaks or continue to play at a high level.
There's a number of emerging stories that are positive for the Leafs. We talked about McMahon. I think we talked about Domi upping his game and others. But you can't escape the fact that the big guns are firing, and they have all week, aren't they?
They are, right? And when I speak about, Toronto Maple Leafs being underdogs versus favorites in whatever series, when the star players are playing at a high level. They always can't bring their A game every single night, but when they raise the level of their B game and they are firing, it is a very, very difficult team to beat. This was a game where I'm like, oh man, where's the beef? Where's the offense? I might go take a nap, Tats, and maybe you can carry the intermission show. But the power play, boom, just like that. Yeah. And then 4 minutes later, the puck is in the net. Like, that is the talent. They have the talent to do that, right? So it's just how do you get that out of them every single night? It's tough over an 82 game series, but the talent is there. And so again, I think they just need some of the middle ground guys and the second, third, fourth line guys just to sort of weather the storm, because eventually that talent will take over like it has through 20 minutes.
Wow, that's 11 seconds off the power play and right off the faceoff for the second goal. So you couldn't get any quicker than that. What are you looking for the Leafs to do in the second period?
Just continue to down the spirits of Nashville. Continue to get it on the forecheck. Capitalize on their turnovers. I believe they had 4 or 5, turnovers in the neutral zone. I'm seeing 0 right now. I don't know who's keeping stats of that. Maybe he was out last night. But I've never heard of that place. What is that? I've never been to Nashville. But just continue to play Craig Berube hockey. Second period, I could see them really getting another couple goals and just sort of cruise into the third period.
Stu, thanks very much. We've got a lengthy out-of-town scoreboard. That is next. This is Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN 1050, the iHeart Radio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
Breaking story from Alpine News Network. Jan owns a home and a restaurant fusing French and Mexican cuisine. But she is fusing no more because her ovens have gone kaput. She called Alpine Credits, who sent their speedy superhero. With her business loan approved, her ovens were quickly fixed. The hero even had some of her poutine nachos. Yum! Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. Just for license 12616.
At Honda, we take pride in building the CR-V Sport here in Alliston, Ontario. And with all-wheel drive, plus a suite of Honda sensing technologies, we made sure it can handle Ontario winters. But you're probably wondering, what's with the one-touch power moonroof? Well, Ontario, we hold on to the hope that one day winter will be over. Get ready for spring and adventure with the Honda CR-V Sport. Lease with rates from 1.99% for 36 months, plus get a $1,500 Honda bonus. OAC conditions apply. Made with domestic and imported parts. See HondaOntario.com.
Hey everyone, Adney and Burke here to talk about our great podcast, NHL Unscripted with Burke and Demers.
Jason Demers here. After playing 700 NHL games, it turns out I have an opinion or two. Whoever's saying trade one of them, you don't know anything about hockey. I'm on the bandwagon. I'm rooting for this team. With new guests every week, we will talk about hockey and more.
Can't wait till you watch this movie because it's the biggest award of her career.
He went into the cheetah exhibit. The cheetah took a piece out of him, and he came into the ring the next day.
Tune in to NHL Unscripted with Burke and Demers, the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed mold, mildew, bowing walls, or water in your basement? I hope not, but if you have, your basement is losing the war against groundwater. That's where Groundworks comes in. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to waterproof your basement and stabilize your walls. Schedule your free inspection at groundworks.ca/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed where work is performed. See website for details.
Dibs.
one of the most powerful words in vacation planning. Next to Sunwing's save more, do more, that is. Why, you ask? Well, while you're asking, I'm booking. First dibs means I just snagged that suite so fancy it makes my Instagram filters feel unnecessary. And since I booked before March 30th, let's just say my savings account and vacation plans are equally gorgeous. That's the thing about First Dibs. Book before March 30th with your local travel advisor or at
Red and white. It runs through the veins of everyone who calls our country home. It brings us closer together, no matter where we are. This spring, patients across Canada need you to give a little red and white. Canadian Blood Services needs 450 new blood and plasma donors every day to fuel Canada's lifeline. Let's get Canada's blood pumping. Book an appointment today at blood.ca/450.
The out-of-town scoreboard is brought to you by Maple Toyota. You don't have to go to town for a great new Tundra or RAV4 gas or hybrid. Maple Toyota has them in stock and ready to deliver. Visit mapletoyota.com. End of the first period. Avs 2-0 over the Habs. End of the first period. Senators and Devils are scoreless. These are done. Rangers 5-3 over the Canucks. Wild 4-1 over the Sabres. Stars 3-2 over the Flyers in overtime. Blues 4-1 over the Hawks. Kings 7-2 over the Canes. Flames in overtime 4-3 over the Islanders. Capitals 6-3 over the Panthers, and Utah 6-4 over Tampa. Yet to start, Detroit and Vegas, Seattle and Edmonton, and Boston in San Jose. In our game, 2-0 for the Leafs over the Nashville Predators. Goals by Tavares and Mitch Marner. This is Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
It comes around every year. People begin to scramble for information. It's a beast like no other. And VSiN is here to help you navigate the waters of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. It's Sharp Week, and our team of college hoops experts will guide you through your brackets. Want to know who the wagering sharps are picking? Tune in to Sharp Week on VSiN, Sirius XM 158. You're gonna need a bigger bet.
Here during our Bracket Mania campaign, I am going crazy bouncing between. Cheers, insiders! Go Leafs, go! Thank you, CFC, go! And good luck to your college basketball team. Joe, take it away.
Hey, insiders. First and foremost, Mike and Allison want to thank you for being part of this amazing community. With March Madness in full swing, we need your help. The TSI Bracket Mania campaign is raising money for SickKids Hospital in Toronto through the Final Four. A portion of the proceeds from every single game goes directly to SickKids. Click the pinned link in the chat or the description to donate. Every bit helps. Can't donate? No problem. Just share the campaign with your friends or on social media to make a huge impact. This is Joe Bowen, the voice of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Click the link and holy Mackinac, let's help heal the future.
On the Sirius XM app.
Can you believe it?
From the title race.
This is remarkable! Keeps this title charge on track, surely!
To the relegation fight.
The impossible may still be possible.
Hear every English Premier League match on Sirius XM FC 157 and the Sirius XM app. Just search for your favorite club.
The world's most thrilling league is now in the palm of your hand. Hear every English Premier League match all season long on the SiriusXM app. Just search for your favourite team.
Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph back with you as the Maple Leafs have a 2-0 lead down in Nashville, Tennessee.
Music City.
Music
USA.
City, USA. And when we used to get down there, I used to love the area because it had so many wonderful Civil War areas and historic sites and battlefields and whatnot. I just love that area of the U.S.
I know I lost every battle down there.
But it usually was because of a little brown kind of a colored bottle of sustenance.
Oh, there were many opposing soldiers. I took down as many as I could.
Yeah, you did. You know what? You battled hard. You did. I was proud of you. I remember the one year we were down there when we were there for St. Patrick's Day, and thank God we had 2 days off to recuperate after that little episode. But Pete Weber and his friends out in outskirts of Nashville. Leafs to the left and the Predators to the right. Leafs are a man short to start this second period. First power play of the game for Nashville. Round back of the net. Stamkos trying to get it out in front. Lost it. And it's backhanded out and down the ice.
Nashville power play 21st in the NHL. And 1 for 6 in the last 3 games.
Brought forward now by Blankenberg. He couldn't get it out. It's back behind the net. And O'Reilly leaves it there, and now brought out on the right wing side to center. Trying to get in over the line was Marchessault. Now O'Reilly does. He get it in along the boards, but it goes off a skate back to the point. Near side for Stamkos. Stamkos with a shot looking short side. Good blocker move there by Wall to stop that. Stamkos, of course, made a living off that backdoor play and the one-timer in Tampa. Forsberg looking for Stamkos. He has it again. Doesn't shoot it this time. Gets it one more. And Wall came across nicely. Made that save, and the rebound is cleared out and down the ice. 43 seconds left in the power play.
Boy, Wall looks sharp, right? Squaring up. And he's not getting tricked that Stamkos is going to throw it back to the middle. He knows he's going to hammer it when he gets it.
Brought to center by Evangelista, down into the corner and trying to get free of it. Tanev around back of that centering pass. They score. Michael Bunting gets a centering pass and lifts it over the shoulder of Wall. And the former Leaf is on the board and cuts the margin in half, 2-1.
Both teams now with a power play goal, and both on their first try, as Bunting has his 10th power play goal of the season. Split between the Penguins and Nashville, and great little pass by Svechkov from behind the goal line out front. Got it past Mitch Marner onto Bunting's stick, and then he goes far side over the left shoulder of Joseph Wall. Bunting, that's 15 on the season and his first in 5.
So the Predators cut into the margin, and it's 2-1. And the pass ahead gets it over the line. McMahon couldn't carry it in deep. Predators get it back to center, work in over the line to the left wing side, trying to backhand into the corner, but Tavares got there in time. Centering effort then from Sissons, backhand to the far side, and down is Wall. And he's got a hold of it and will stop play for a face-off in the Toronto zone.
Unfortunate set of circumstances that you got Matthew Knies and an unnecessary penalty interference right at the buzzer in the Leafs zone that led to the power play to start the period. Leafs now with just a slight shots on goal edge at 12-10.
I don't think I had mentioned Bunting's name in the first period.
Well, they didn't have a whole lot on the offensive side, did they?
Sure didn't.
Of course, signed in Carolina. Val Dubas brought him to Pittsburgh before being part of the Luke Schenn trade.
Round the boards, left wing side. Out at center ice, it's shot down into Nashville territory. Englund got it up on the boards. Domi able to punch it back, and a good play by Robertson to use his body to shield the puck. Gets it back on the half boards. Tried to get it down into the corner, but was too well covered. It comes to the point. Tanev got a shot away, but it deflected well wide of the net. Played back of the goal. Svechkov trying to long up. Gets it up on the right wing side for Kiefer Bellows. He was knocked down. Tanev runs his man to the boards. Domi pushes it around to an open corner. Got there first, but couldn't get it up past the pinching defenseman in Shea. And now back of the net it'll go. And Jake McCabe has it. And one of the Predators, I think, is down in the net, although we can't see it on our screen. as he got kind of crumpled up. Now it's sent back down into the Toronto zone. Puck goes high and into the screen and out of play.
I think that was that Evangelista again. I think he was trying to draw the penalty. He's now showing his hand to the official, but I think he was trying to draw it that he might have been clipped with a high stick going to the net because he threw the head back, dove into the net. Oh, yeah, it was. He lifts Matthew. Now, technically, it's still a high sticking penalty. He lifts Matthew Knies' stick and then
into his face.
Into it. Yeah. But still, if you're Knies, you have to be in control of your stick. And I think that's what the Nashville coaching staff is upset with. I think the Leafs threw a penalty that way in New York.
Yep. Face off in the Toronto zone. Won cleanly by the Leafs. Riley gets it out into neutral ice, and Knies will send it deep into Nashville territory. Played around the boards by the goaltender. Blocked by Marner. In front for Matthews. Shooting! And he snapped it high and wide on the short side. Kept alive by Knies. It'll roll in on goal. Steered aside by Saros. Nashville getting it out into neutral ice and down into the Leaf zone. And it's going to cover up by Wall, who wisely decides he'd better hang on to that. Now we get Brandon Carlo in a bit of a shoving match. Is it Englund down there?
No,
it's
Forsberg.
Yeah. Yep.
I was thinking as well, as we saw Scott Laughton have the goal called back in the first period. Would have been his first as a Leaf. Brandon Carlo here as well. When we talked about Stamkos making the move to Nashville, I think it is so difficult when you've spent the first 8-10 years of your career, whatever the number is, and then having to move, especially at the trade deadline. And Brandon Carlo was the same coming from Boston. It'll be interesting to see Brad Marchand. I just think for Stamkos and other guys that have had to go through it, it's a culture shock.
Sure it is. And you're entrenched. Your family's got schools and everything else that they're going to, and very little is ever thought about that aspect of it.
Well, Mikko Rantanen going to Carolina didn't work. Now, Natchez has been better going the other way, but
Leafs getting new centerman to take the draw as Marner moves in as Matthews was waved out. Marner won it cleanly. Cleared off the boards by Riley down to the blue line. Leafs are getting a change started. Brought to center ice and down into the Toronto zone. Out of the net, Wall punches it around the boards. Nice deflection, gets it out for Marner. Marner across the line, stretching things out, trying to find an open man. Got it to Matthews, now in for McMahon. He hit the goal post. Bobby McMahon strikes the post on the far side as it comes down into the Toronto zone. Launched back out at center ice by OEL before shot back in on Wall, who will give it off to Oliver Ekman-Larsson. And in the corner, it'll OEL getting a return pass from his defense mate and backhands it out at center ice. Marner bringing it in. It's a delayed offside by Nashville, and play will be whistled down as Bobby McMahon rings it off the goalpost, set up there nicely. Got it over the pad and under the blocker, but couldn't bank it in off the goalpost.
Michael Bunting, by the way, this is his 5th game against the Leafs and his 3rd goal. I can't remember if it was this year or last year. He had a power play goal and I believe it turned out to be the game winner against Toronto.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Shot down into the Toronto end. Riley circles the goal. Tried to make a pass, went off a stick, but Karam's to center. Brandon Carlo got there to knock it in deep into the Predators' end. McMahon adds forechecking, but Tavares and Nylander can't come up with it. And the Preds get it out at center with McCarron. Into the slot, trying to drive in. And the puck went off his stick, and now McCarron and Carlo shoving with one another. McCarron giving Carlo about 2 or 3 punches to the chest without reply. And apparently that's okay. So there'll be a face-off coming in the Toronto end.
Well, I really like the fact that you got forwards in the other team now that are getting sour once they arrive to the front of the Leaf net, that they don't like how they've been handled. And actually, McCarron actually got away with a cross-check before that.
McCarron leads the Predators in penalty minutes with 88. And he's fortunate he didn't get another one there. Delgazio with a pass into the far boards, deflects into the corner.
Smith for Nashville, trying to play it back behind the net. Good play by David Camp to tie his man up. And McCabe gets the puck up on the wing. And the Leafs will outlet now. And here's Camp coming across the line. Faked a drop pass, carries down into the corner. Now centers it into the goal crease. And coming down the slot was the Leafs' Lawton, and he just deflected it wide. Scotty Lawton coming close. Had one go in, but high stick call on the play. Back of the net. Good hit there on the boards by Lorenz. Lorenz looking in front. Lawton couldn't settle a bouncing puck down to get a shot away. Camp is able to free it up. Good shift here by the Leafs' fourth line. Along the boards, though, it'll be coming out into the center ice area. And back to retrieve it is Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Pontus Holmberg starts back the other way. Got it up ahead, but Domi couldn't get across the line. Played deep into the Nashville zone. 14 minutes left to play as it shot down for an icing against Nashville.
Well, we didn't sit on that last play when Domi gave it up. The Leafs have been much better, Joe, in the last 3+ games of dumping the puck in and going in after it. And we just saw that with the fourth line. Established the forecheck. You have so many fewer turnovers at the opposing team's blue line where they can counter. It's not the prettiest way to create offense.
No, but it's zone possession. It's physicality. It's wearing people down. Absolutely. Nashville controls the face-off. Got it out at center. Leafs are able to punch it back into the zone. Marner in a forecheck against Delgado, and it comes around on the boards, and out come the Nashville Predators to center. Evangelista is buckled to the boards on a big hit, and standing over him was the Leafs defender. Now the puck poked back to the blue line, and the Leafs break it out. Pass up on the left wing for Knies. Matthews going to the front of the net. Knies couldn't get it to him. He frees it up for Matthews. Matthews against the boards, battling in there. Knies arrives on the scene, hoping for a loose puck and got it, but then ran into a traffic jam. Plays it around the boards. Carlo gets it back of the net. Matthews playing it back off the boards to Carlo into the slot, a shot, and that was fanned on there by Nylander. Into the far boards for Riley, trying to center, caught by the left hand of the, I was about to say diminutive goaltender. He's not really small. He's just smaller than some of the others.
What, 5'11" or 6 feet?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So probably 6 inches below the average.
No kidding. It is a 2-1 game. The Leafs with the lead. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
When you get a Subaru with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and class-leading safety included, it's like you also get a Subaru that comes with your very own golf club holder, stadium parking navigator, a basketball team transporter, a remote cottage finder, a beaver spotter, a coach hauler, bear country guide, a family road trip carrier, a muddy road controller, extreme wind stabilizer, plus a... And we're out of time. Subaru is the multi-tool that masters every unpredictable weather condition. Visit your local Subaru dealer for great lease and finance options.
Lately, times have been challenging, with many people facing increased interest rates, inflation, and rising credit card debt. Everyone needs a little help from time to time, but it can be hard to ask for help when it comes to your personal finances. But you're not alone. Millions of Canadians share that feeling with you. 500,000 Canadians have found help with their debt, and so can you, with Consolidated Credit Counseling Services of Canada. They are one of the largest non-profit credit counseling organizations in the country, with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They can help you consolidate your bills into one affordable payment, minimize your interest rates, and get you out of debt fast. No matter how much you owe, you don't need to do this alone. To get help, call 1-800-288-4991. That's 1-800-288-4991. Let Consolidated Credit get you back to a debt-free life. Call 1-800-288-4991. Call toll-free today for a free consultation. 1-800-288-4991. Ontario license number 4705786.
Toronto Marlies beat Belleville 4-2 today, and the 1974 Toronto Marlboros junior team was honored at the game. Bruce Boudreau was there. Other members of that team, John Anderson, John Tonelli, Mike Kitchen.
Mike Palmadeer?
Mike had been gone by then. Carr, what was...
Gene Carr?
Was the goalie, yep.
Oh, no, Gary Carr.
Gary Carr.
Yeah, Gene Carr was a forward.
Played out at center. And the reason I know all of that, as the Predators get it in over the line, the Leafs are going to bank it out at center. Nylander couldn't get it.
is the Marlies went to the final, in the OHL final, by beating the Sudbury Wolves in an 8-game series.
Now, did you call that series?
I did. And it went to an 8th game. And I will go to my grave believing that the goal judge at Maple Leaf Gardens got up from his chair to allow the Zamboni to get ready to come on the ice at the end of the second period. And the Wolves scored a goal, but the goal light didn't go on, and it was ruled no goal. And the Wolves would have won that game and gone instead into the final against the Hamilton Fincuts. George Armstrong, the coach. Here's a pass ahead. The Leafs in on goal. Trying to get Tavares the puck to Nylander, that was knocked away. Nylander works down the near boards. Plays it back around the wall into the corner. Round back of the net into the far corner for McMahon. McMahon to the point. McCabe is able to punch it back in around the boards. Kept back to the point. Kept in there by McMahon. Left wing side, a shot. And it's going to go up into the screen and out of play.
Now, people have to remember, back then, there were 8. It wasn't, if there was a tie, it was a tie in a series.
Right.
So that's why games could go 8 games.
However, the 8th game went to overtime because it was tied. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. John Anderson took a penalty. The Sudbury Wolves had Paul Crowley, Bobby Russell, and Rod Shutt as their top line. They each hit the goalpost on that power play. Each of the forwards. Puck went around the boards. Anderson stepped out of the penalty box, breakaway, and beat Jim Bedard. And was from complete bedlam, 6,000 people to dead silence. You thought someone had died right there. Well, for all intents and purposes, about 6,000 of us had. Played out at center ice, and now here are the Wolves. Here are the Leafs getting it in for Robertson, shooting! And it went off a leg and went harmlessly wide. Robertson can't keep it in, and the Predators get it out at center, and Bunting will get it down into the zone. Stamkos tying up his man, the puck in the far corner. Bunting getting back in front of the net, off his skate and went to the near side, kept alive by Shea. Brady Shea gets it back to the point. Long shot coming, blocked in front of the net. Played ahead for Domi. His backhand goes off the body and into the crowd. Although some oohs and ahs thinking a penalty was about to happen, it does not. And a face-off will come back in Toronto territory.
I did play with Rod Shutt in Baltimore.
Yeah.
He was drafted by Pittsburgh.
He was a marvelous goal scorer. Scored 70 some odd goals that one year. The next year, actually, that he was there. But he had a bad back, and he never really got to show his talents. He and Peter Lee in Ottawa battled for the scoring lead.
He got the nickname Shooter, Rod.
Yes, sir. Rod Shooter Shutt. Drafted by Montreal. Played to center ice and in over the line. The Leafs now with Lorenz sending it around back of the net. Grabbed there by Delgado. Got it up on the wing. And the Predators will get it out at center. Bellows brings it in on the right side with a shot. He scores! Justin Bellows off the right wing. And I don't know if we get an angle here, but I think this is one maybe Joseph Wall would like to have back.
Yeah, we were talking about this, how when the Leaf goalies are on, if it's one-on-one with a shooter, they've won those battles. But problem was Jake McCabe pinched, and then David Camp, who was backing up the pinch, tried to keep the puck in at the blue line. So now you had two guys trapped, an odd man rush the other way. Chris Tanev was back, took away the middle of the ice. And this just sails over the left shoulder of Wall's short side, as he might have been playing a little deep, thinking that pass might have got across. But now Nashville, the lowest scoring team in the NHL, has battled back from a 2-goal deficit to tie it.
There's O'Reilly in across the line, flipping it around back of the net. Marner freed it up, and Knies gets the puck to center ice, but it bounced over Matthews' stick. So after it appeared the Leafs had gone up 3-0, The goal disallowed on a high stick on Scott Lawton. It's the Predators who score a power play goal and now an even strength goal to tie the game at 2s. Matthews slides in after the puck back of the net, rubs his man out, got the puck back of the goal for Marner. Marner unable to get it in front. Knies was there. Tanev pinches to keep it in. Now Knies trying to free it up, kicks it to the corner for Matthews. Matthews back to Chris Tanev. Over on the far side to Nylander off the bench. Back to the point, and it's going to be pushed out at center ice. So the Leafs in a 2-2 tie now. And an icing call coming here against Toronto.
Number 40, Time to go, 9 minutes, 15 seconds.
Kiefer Bellows, just his second goal of the season in 11 games with the Nashville Predators.
Smith and Svechkov get the assist. Second point for Svechkov. And the goal comes at 9:15. And we are tied 2-2.
Bellows, by the way, 27 goals with the Toronto Marlies last year.
Brought in over the line now by Tavares. A pass into the corner for McMahon. Back to Nylander. A shot blockered away by Saros. And it's out at center and another turnover, but the Leafs can't do anything with it. Push back into Toronto territory. Pass off a stick comes to center. Stamkos has to wait for teammates to get onside. Carries down the boards, overskated the puck. The Leafs are able to get it out into neutral ice. Brought forward now by Tavares. Tavares is going to send it down into the corner. Round back of the net is Stastny. Played it up on the left wing, and out come the Predators to center ice. Good play by Robertson to knock his man into the boards. Got the puck free, but grabbed again by Nashville. They have it back of the goal. Trying to come out on the far side. Benoit was there to take it away. Plays it ahead off a skate to Robertson. In on the left wing for Domi, and a shot on a sharp angle one right off the shoulder blade of Saros. Pass to the near side. Tanev trying to go D to D on the far wing. Now it is Pontus Holmberg with time and space. He can't get it in front of the net for Robertson. And the Predators get to center, and Svechkov will get it the rest of the way into the Toronto zone. 8 minutes and 4 seconds to play in the second period. Game tied 2-2. Marner against the boards, unable to keep it in. Played out at center, and it turns into an offside at the Toronto blue line, and it'll be brought back into the neutral zone. Predators have scored twice in the second period, and it is tied at 2. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Spring is in the air on the SiriusXM app. From breezy road-ready mixes and sun-kissed specials to streaming-only happy channels packed with positive vibes. Our spring listening collection is here to help you savor every second of the season. Along with new podcasts and live sports and entertainment. Just search Spring on the SiriusXM app.
The Point with Boomer Gordon.
For months I've been listening to hockey people warn the Sabres, don't move on from Dylan Cousins. This is the one you'll regret. The fact that you're trading in division is amazing to me. This guy can come back and haunt you like every Sabre does. But if I'm an Ottawa Senators fan, Jake, I'm over the moon on this trade.
Point with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. Nothing puts you closer to the action than SiriusXM NHL Network Radio.
Dallas already was the highest scoring team in the league since January 1st. They're so deep. They made a trade, like Michael Granlund there. Tyler Seguin may come back. Rantanen will fit in there beautifully. And another sort of guy drawn to the southern United States, no state tax team, good organization, and wanting to kind of set up shop long term there. So obviously it makes sense.
SiriusXM NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91. The best hockey lives here.
Burns gets it back. Stick handles to the backhand. Moves in front. Score!
NHL play-by-play on SiriusXM.
Leafs and the Predators are tied 2-2. Joe Bowen with Jim Ralph, Cameron Moore, and Alex Mandarino. pushing buttons and keeping us on the air. Just across the studio from us. Played out at center and down into the neutral zone. Brought in over the line by Shea. Got a pass into the slot that was knocked away. Hammered off the boards high and bouncing to the line, but not out. Shea keeps it alive for Nashville. Works around back of the net. A collision there. Knocks a couple of players down. The Leafs are able to get it free. And Knies is going to play it down into Nashville territory. Shea gets back there again to get it along the boards. And it'll be pushed by Evangelista to center. O'Reilly up on the right wing. Shot steered wide. Oh, what a save by Wall on a rebound. But he was the architect of his own demise there. He gave up a juicy rebound off an easy shot, but then came across and made a brilliant right pad save.
And both, I think, were off the right pad, right? Sort of the big rebound on a soft shot, and then the rebound was much tougher than the original.
Tavares gets across the line, makes a good play, then got a sharp angle shot away that was stopped. Played back to the blue line, no one there. And it's going to come all the way back into Toronto territory, and Wall plays it off to his defenseman on the far side, and Riley gets it through center, but it's going to get by everyone. And an icing call is coming up. Second period brought to you by Molson. Whether it's Canadian, Ultra, Export, or XL, there's a Molson with your name on it.
And that original shot just from the right wing boards, it just sort of skipped into Wall. Low blocker side, and Wall just kind of, he kicked it back out in the slot.
And the problem was the shot was not very hard. And even if you did kick it, it wasn't going anywhere. And it turned out to be a juicy rebound. But what an enormous secondary save off that rush. Leafs get it down in the offensive zone. Nylander around back of the goal. Can't come up with it. Played to the line and out. And OEL then has trouble with it. Bouncing disc. And it is finally shot back down into Nashville territory with 6 minutes to go. Second period. All of the action has been down to the right of the TV screen, where all 4 goals have been scored in this hockey game. 2 for the Leafs in the first, 2 for Nashville in the second. Played back into the corner, bouncing to the side of the net, and it is pushed out at center ice. Did I say to the right? It's to the left where all of the goals have been scored.
Over there?
But if you turn around... Leafs backhand pass there by Lawton, hits the side of the goal. Lawton after it in the corner. Got it along the boards for Lorenz, who can't find anybody. Now Tanev trying to send it in. Lawton and Kent. Now a centering pass. Oh, and Lorenz was there. Set up nicely by Lawton. But up into the screen it goes, off the shoulder of UC Saros.
Well, what a great setup by Scott Lawton from behind the goal line. And, boy, just glances out the left shoulder of Saros and out of play.
2-2 tie. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Alpine News Network is here live with one of our superheroes.
Joe and Lucy needed a new roof and reached out to Alpine Credits. I flew over to help them with a home renovation loan. I suggested they transform their house into a giant robot head, beams that shoot from the eyes. Pew, pew! Instead, they just went with shingles. But it's pretty glorious.
Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. Just for license 12616.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Is your concrete sinking? Whether it's your driveway, sidewalk, or patio, those uneven surfaces are not just ugly, they're dangerous. That's where Groundworks comes in. They use state-of-the-art concrete lifting solutions to prevent tripping hazards, and they're the best at
Cheers, Insiders! Go Leafs, go! Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I'm bouncing around between all of these basketball games. Thank you for helping us with the Bracket Mania campaign for SickKids Hospital. I wanted to get a message in, but I couldn't record it in time as the game's starting in 2 minutes. Joe, take it away!
Every game, every play, every moment, you can make a difference. With every like, share, and subscribe, the Toronto Sports Insider community is turning March Madness into a movement for Sick Kids Hospital. Every interaction helps raise donations for life-saving treatments. It's simple. Watch the games, fill out a bracket, and spread the word. The more we grow, the bigger our impact. This is Joe Bowen, the voice of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Because of Harold Ballard. Puck goes down into the Toronto zone. And then David has a bit of a stubborn streak as one of the Leafs got clobbered at the blue line, Robertson, and no penalty call. Puck around the boards back of the net. Chipped along the boards by Pontus Holmberg. Domi couldn't get it out. Riley trying to keep it alive. On the far side, Svechkov, wrist shot coming in traffic, deflected wide of the Leaf goal. 2-2 is the score. Leafs in another hard-fought, close hockey game. Something that they have certainly been very accustomed to over the course of this season. And are in another one here. Brought out by Holmberg on the right wing. Played it off the boards to get into the zone, but won't get there in time to deny an icing as he was interfered with rather nicely on the way in over the blue line. And with 4:13 to play in the period, face-off coming back in the Toronto zone.
Pontus Holmberg again. I mean, he shows flashes at time. Remember, he scored that big goal late in the game against Boston that got it to overtime. That was a stretch where he had 4 goals in 5 games, but since then, it's 11 games without a goal, 2 assists in that stretch.
O'Reilly facing off with Max Domi. And Domi wins the draw, kicking it into the corner, but the Preds get to it first. Shea to his defense partner, gets a return pass up high. Can't deliver a puck to the net, got it down into the corner. Blankenberg was well covered. The puck up against the boards, dug out by Forsberg. Back to the point it comes. Blankenberg with a shot, goes high over top of the Leaf goal. Shea trying to keep it alive along the boards. Got it freed up, back to the point. Shea again with a shot. Good save made there by Wall. High rebound, not cleared. Now the Leafs are going to get it elevated and get it out and down to the blue line. 3:36 to play in the second period. Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Riley get it around the boards. A tip pass brought on quickly to center by Matthews. In with a shot, and he snapped it wide on the far side. Rebound along the boards. Matthews getting it freed up in front for Marner, and he tried to set up McCabe, but it was just a little bit out of his reach. Down the boards comes Canup. Oh, he ran into a shoulder there, stopped him in his tracks. Back come the Predators into the Toronto zone, but Marner is back there to free it up. Now Tanev gets it up on the wing, and Matthews, a rink-wide pass just out of the reach of Marner. Comes back out at center ice. Brought in over the line by Leroux. Leroux goes wide, forced wider by McCabe. Good play and good stick there by McCabe to force the puck. It comes back to the point. Long shot in traffic, blocked. Batted out to the line, and this would be a glove pass, I believe. And so the Leafs are just going to leave it, and now it'll be whistled down. And because the Leafs in the defensive zone did not play the puck, the faceoff will remain in the Toronto end.
Boy, Austin Matthews got a lot on this shot, one-on-one. I think it might have just gone off the defenseman's stick. We're looking at Chris Tanev took a pretty good hit, almost a reverse hit, wasn't it, from Philip Forsberg?
Yeah, we've seen 2 of those that haven't been called. And then we saw the one called against the Leafs.
Yeah, I think that was that not Ekman-Larsson?
Yeah.
Got called on it.
Played off the boards and deflected by Tavares, who has scored in the game. Gets it down into the offensive zone. Nylander is able to block it back at the net. Bank to the blue line. And Brandon Carlo has his pocket picked and brought on now by Sissons. And he won't get it any further than the goal crease. And pouncing on it there is Wall.
That was the power play goal by Michael Bunting early in the second period that got Nashville back interested in this game. And I mean, they've worked, regardless of where they are in the standings. They've actually got 3 first-round picks in this year's draft. Their own, including actually one that they got in the Tanner Jeannot trade with Campus. So it'll be interesting to see what Barry Trotz decides to do. I mean, they certainly moved some pieces out. They're kind of in between trying to rebuild, and they've still got some guys on the cap. Kyle Turris, Matt Duchene are still on the cap for buyouts from the Nashville Predators. So
face off to the right of Wall. One, and a weak shot deflects wide of the net to the far corner. Stamkos trying to get to it. It's played on the backhand behind the net. Crowd hollering for a penalty. Riley takes one in the mush. The puck comes free, and the Leafs are able to break it out. Lifted high into the zone. Bouncing disc. Then unable to get it was Lorenz. And it comes to center. And now Camp has to wait for teammates to get onside. Got it in across the line. But the Predators are able to play it back down into Toronto territory. Riley goes back against Bunting. Takes him out of the play. Puck comes up on the wing and off the boards to Lorenz. Lorenz is just going to bank it out into neutral ice. Predators go back. They're changing. So are the Leafs. Puck comes out into center ice territory. Flipped back in again there by Pontus Holmberg. He had no other recourse because he had a man trapped deep in the zone. Stastny up on the right side. Predators gain the zone. In for Riley. O'Reilly trying to play it back at the net for Evangelista. Had his pocket picked by Chris Tanev. Tanev sends it out into center ice. Less than a minute to go in the period. And it's been all Predators as they have scored twice to tie the game and have an odd man rush here. In on goal. Stopped by Wall. To the line. They score. Forsberg jamming it in. And for the first time in the game, the Predators have taken the lead.
And Joe, again, it's a bad pinch that costs them. They don't score in the original chance, but they get it to the crease and are able to jam it in. Jake McCabe jumped up and then eventually runs into Austin Matthews. And guess what? Another 2-on-1 back the other way with Chris Tanev the only man back. Tanev went down to take away the pass, but he slid into Joseph Wall, and they were both kind of spread out, face down in the blue paint. But 2 goals in this period coming on odd man rushes, and both times it was Jake McCabe, who had a big night in New York with 3 assists. But ill-advised pinches lead to 2 Nashville goals.
Forsberg's 26th of the season. Predators back into the slot with another shot, and that went wide. Puck in the near boards. Pushed out at center for Domi. Launched to the left wing side for Holmberg. He had it knocked off his stick. And it is going to be an unassisted goal for Forsberg as it's cleared down into the Toronto zone. 9 seconds left in the period. Carlo got it ahead across the line. Holmberg can't come up with it. Well covered in the far corner in the offensive zone, and time will run out. So the bathtub is flowing one way at the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. All of the goals in the goal 2 hour left as the Maple Leafs trail 3-2.
Well, the Leafs earlier in the season played Nashville at home, and they trailed into the third period of that game. Jonathan Marchessault had the only goal going into the third. Then Austin Matthews had a pair, 2:29 into the third period. And the Leafs were able to hang on for a 3-2 win, and they're in that position now, trailing by 1.
18 shots for the Predators, 17 for the Maple Leafs after 2 periods of play. Jim Taddy and Anthony Stewart standing by. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050
and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
It comes around every year. People begin to scramble for information. It's a beast like no other, and VSiN is here to help you navigate the waters of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. It's Sharp Week, and our team of college hoops experts will guide you through your brackets. Want to know who the wagering sharps are picking? Tune into Sharp Week on VSiN, Sirius XM 158. Sharps! You're gonna need a bigger bet.
NHL Morning Skate.
Defending Stanley Cup champion, General Manager Bill Zito. You have to be cognizant of the chemistry when you go out and make a potential trade, don't you?
We enjoy a little bit of a benefit now where the room is so strong that they can absorb a lot. We just want seamless guys who come in. Their leaders are Reinhart, Kachuk, Barkov, Bobrovsky. That part, it takes care of itself.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Power Play with Steve Kouleas.
General manager of the Winnipeg Jets, Kevin Cheveldayoff. What would finishing first overall mean to the organization, Kevin?
Well, I think anytime that, you can finish in an area where you're getting recognized, it's special. But again, the important thing for us is process. Is when we buy into playing the way we need to play, then, we feel comfortable that we'll win more games than not. And then you let the chips fall where they may.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Point with Boomer Gordon.
For months, I've been listening to hockey people warn the Sabres. Don't move on from Dylan Cousins. This is the one you'll regret. The fact that you're trading in division is amazing to me. This guy can come back and haunt you like every Sabre does. But if I'm an Ottawa Senator fan, Jake, I'm over the moon on this trade.
Point with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The best player analysts and insiders live on NHL Network Radio. Mike Johnson.
If you would have asked me, what's the one record that would never, ever, ever be broken? Was the 894 goals. Every single day he scores, that's sort of the lead story in the NHL. And yet here's Ovi about to do it, and he's going to push through 900 goals, and he could push to 1,000 if he wanted to. He played 3 more seasons.
Get the latest opinion and analysis you need on the home of hockey, NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Hey, Jim Rome here. What's cracking?
Hi.
Hope you're enjoying the game. And when you're not taking in a game, find us on Sirius Channel 161, XM Channel 206. In fact, we'll be there every weekday afternoon, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. If you've got something you want to break down from this game, you know where to find us. Just make sure you have it taken. Don't suck.
Step your game up.
That has never changed. In fact, this show has never changed. We're just back home. And it's great to be there. Sirius 161, XM 206. See you there.
It's soccer's most thrilling league.
Only the Premier League can make you feel like this.
And now every match is on the Sirius XM app.
Can you believe it?
From the title race.
This is remarkable. Keeps this title charge on track, surely.
To the relegation fight.
The impossible may still be possible.
Hear every English Premier League match on Sirius XM FC 157 and the Sirius XM app. Just search for your favorite club.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey is on TSN 1050 and the Leafs Radio Network. The Leafs live here.
And trail 3-2 after 40 minutes of play. TSN After 40 brought to you by 241 Pizza. Give yourself a high five. Buy any large traditional pizza. Get up to 3 medium one-topping pizzas for $5 each. 241pizza.com is where you go for that. Jim Taddy and former NHLer Anthony Stewart with you. And Stu, oh no guy, what was that?
That was a nothing burger. No, but if the first period was a pitcher perfect for the Toronto Maple Leafs coming in on the road, I could see that second period being a pitcher breaking period, just where they just sort of almost got lulled into the Nashville sleep that they were in the first period. But it started off with Knies getting a penalty at the end of that first period and Michael Bunting scoring his first as a Nashville Predator. And that was a little bit of a miscommunication and breakdown in the D zone behind the net. And then the other two goals are just inopportune pinches by McCabe, right? He's been pinching all night, and he's sort of been getting caught. So there's just the details that sort of helped them against the Colorados and the New York Rangers and the Calgary Flames. They sort of resorted back to sort of that old way of, hey, you know what, this Nashville team, they're struggling. It's going to be an easy walk in the park tonight. It's point night or cookie night, and you know what? It's the National Hockey League. There are good players on every team, and they can come back to bite you, and they did that in the second period for Nashville.
Yeah, you wonder how many times they have to learn that lesson, but clearly one more than you think. The Bunting goal, there's the miscue at the side of the net by Wall. The Bellows goal, I don't know how that shouldn't go in. And the Forsberg goal is just casual play. I mean, there's just no attention to defensive detail there. Casual play right up the ice.
Yeah, and then, I saw the bird's eye view, just guys swooping, not really, getting checks on the back check, no stick in lanes. And, especially if you have a D that's pinching, you sort of have to communicate, hey, I'm going down. And then the one play, Camp was the F3 and just sort of stood still. He's got to track back. So that communication just wasn't there. And sometimes that happens on the road in a 2-game season. So the one thing that, concerns me is, based on the math, this should have been a cruising win, a 4-1 or a 5-2 win. But now you're in a game now where you have to scratch and claw and now potentially mess with the lineups and double shift and bench guys. Going into the last 12 games, you got to have a couple easy wins if you're, coming up against the Florida Panthers in a week or two as well. So again, the fact that now it's not just a physical battle, it's a mental battle of, hey, we're up 2-0, now we're down 3. Do we have to hopefully draw a couple power plays? Does the power play get us back in? This was supposed to be a game where you're supposed to get the reps and sort of see which lines work, or let's get the third line and the fourth line some more reps as the game's maybe out of reach. But now it's a complete opposite where, these are two crucial points where first place is still on the division, is still on the line, where you might have to double shift some guys, and you're going to see the Matthews, Marners, and Nylanders probably creep up into the 22, 23 minutes a night mark.
Well, and I guess the difference between this game and the ones we saw this week was there was a build throughout the lineup. As one line would do something, and you'd see the follow-up. This is a disconnected effort here, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the Jenga, when you get to the end there and it just starts to crumble piece by piece, right? So it's, the one positive. Let's try to stay positive here, Tats. And again, they have 20 minutes, and I'm sure they're going to hear it from Craig Barube. And again, it's road trips, and, my guys maybe aren't going as much sleep as possible. Maybe some guys took the option today with regards to the morning skate, but I think for them, it's the National Hockey League. You cannot take a shift off, right? And you see Bellows and Bunting. These guys have something to play for. Some guys are playing for contracts. Some guys, we heard about Bunting, he's now on his third team within, fourth team in 2 years. He's not taking it easy. He's playing for a spot and for a contract and all that. Same thing with Bellows and, guys trying to stay in the league as well too. So for me, it's not an easy walk in the park, and they have to respond. And I'm going to be looking for these first 5 minutes and see how they get back into this game.
So late in the period, they switched the defense around, so it was Riley, OEL, and Benoit and Carlos. I don't know what's into that.
Yeah, but I think it's just maybe try to get a spark, right? Or some guys are sleeping, or some guys are tired, or something. But again, that's the thing with Barube, and I'm sure you're going to see some different matchups as he demands that accountability. And yes, there's going to be off nights where you can't always bring your A game. But at this point of the season, the fundamentals, the basics, the structure, the system ultimately has to be there. And on all 3 goals, especially, that last one, that was just, hey, we're going for a skate here. Don't worry about it. It's just, let's get through this 60 minutes. But I'm sure he's going to reset that, hold guys accountable with ice time. And, I'm sure guys are going to hear it right now during this intermission. And I've been there, and there's been nights where it's tough to bring it every night. And there's some nights where you're just like, oh man, where are we going next? Do we got to go home? I got to get some sleep, and, the dog, I got to walk the dog. But again, we're paid lots of money to perform, and it's no excuse. It's tough, but you have to do it if you're talking about winning a Stanley Cup. This happens in a game 3, and you lose, a game like this where you're supposed to be one of the top 5 third period teams in the whole entire National Hockey. That could be the difference in a series, and you can't just turn it on. You have to build towards it. You have to have that become one of your identities, and the second period has. But if it starts to break down as you get into game now, 78, 89, 80, that could be the difference between winning and losing a playoff series.
I'm trying to recall. We've got 5 goals here, and I don't think anybody paid much of a price for any of the 5.
No, it was free 99. Thanks for coming. Here you go. Don't forget to grab your bag on the way out. And
here's your discount on the way out.
And think about it. Those the first and third for Nashville. No cross checks, no slashes, just guys walking down Main Street, sort of finding those soft areas where Toronto's defense usually keep those guys accountable. But I'm trying to do the math on when I've seen, consistently 2-on-1s and 3-on-2s, or even getting caught pinching. Like that's not a trend with this group. So again, I'm not too sure what it may be, but I'm sure Barube is going to remind them, and maybe it's a video session or maybe it's some guys sitting, but I think they can and will be better in this third period.
Well, look, it's 3-2 and it's trending in the wrong direction, but there's the Leafs had opportunities. Tavares and Nylander were like synchro swimmers. They were too close on a 2-on-1 and nothing happened. There was that save, the bad rebound that Wall gave up. And I don't know how bad it was because the way the puck was fired, there was no way to deaden it. But he made a beautiful stop on Forsberg, who was right there.
Yeah, that was a great save by Wall to keep the game. It was 2-2 at that point, to keep it 2-2, and Matthews was there to break it up too, where he actually got a stick on Forsberg as well. And you talked about that 2-on-1, Tavares shoot, I'm sure the fans are thinking of Caberlet, right? When they're yelling, shoot that puck, right? There's 2 or 3 opportunities now where he just got to fire that puck, right? So, again, when it's considered, or you're in your mind, it's an easy game, you sort of cheat the game a little bit, and you're trying to say, hey, you know what? Maybe try to get a couple extra goals or points or get through the night without getting any bumps and come out unscathed. But that's it. When you take your foot off the gas, or you shift from, gear 5 and you're just cruising around gear 2, gear 3, that's usually, how these games happen, or you get hurt, or, you pinch and there's not a good F3. Those little details you have to pound into your memories every single night and bring it, because that's what's got them to this part, the details, and that's what's going to get them through. And ultimately, if they win the Stanley Cup, yes, it's going to be on talent, but it's those fundamentals, detail, structure, and system. Everyone thinks it's boring and it's non-sexy, but it's gotten to this point where they're challenging for the Atlantic Division with the Fendi Stanley Cups, Florida Panthers, and the perennial favorites, Tampa Bay Lightning. So they can't just say, hey, well, we're here now, let's decide what we want to do and go off on a bit of a tangent here. It does not work, and we'll see how they respond.
So what does Craig Barube do here? What does he ask them to do? Or does he just read off the out-of-town scoreboard and say opportunity is here?
Yeah, he's gonna react. He's like, hey, Taddy's giving it for 5th time. I'm gonna give it for his 6th time here. I think, again, it's one of those guys where when he just gives you the look, I don't think he's a yeller and a screamer. He's been around, he's played, and when he asks something of you, he's not going to ask you to do something he hasn't done as a player himself. So, the players, they do have pride. You would not be in this position if you don't. I think, understandably, they are their own biggest critics. So I'm sure they're going to come back with a better response, because this is a big game. You need a minimum 1 point here. You have a chance to, pass some other teams and possibly pass Florida tonight. I'm sure I'm going to hear it on the out-of-town scoreboard here in a minute. But for me, it's just effort, and it's got to be, they got to ramp it up in this final 20.
Well, and that's an excellent point you made. The point, right? So even if you lose the game, but if you get a point, if you send it to overtime, the point is big.
It's point season, and that's what they say. Win, lose, or draw, you get a point, and you collect those. Those are the points that make up the difference at the end of the year. They need them. Just get a point.
Stu, thanks very much. This is Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
Hey everyone, Adney and Burke here to talk about our great podcast, NHL Unscripted with Burke and Demers.
Jason Demers here. After playing 700 NHL games, it turns out I have an opinion or two. Whoever's saying trade one of them, you don't know anything about hockey. I'm on the bandwagon. I'm rooting for this team. With new guests every week, we will talk about hockey and more.
Can't wait till you watch the movie, because it's the biggest award of her career.
He went into the cheetah exhibit. The cheetah took a piece out of him, and he came into the ring the next day.
Tune in to NHL Unscripted with Burke and Demers, the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcasts.
When you get a Subaru with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and class-leading safety included, it's like you also get a Subaru that comes with your very own golf club holder, stadium parking navigator, a basketball team transporter, a remote cottage finder, a beaver spotter, a coach hauler, bear country guide, a family road trip carrier, a muddy road controller, extreme wind stabilizer, plus a... And we're out of time. Subaru is the multi-tool that masters every unpredictable weather condition. Visit your local Subaru dealer for great lease and finance options.
Lately, times have been challenging, with many people facing increased interest rates, inflation, and rising credit card debt. Everyone needs a little help from time to time, but it can be hard to ask for help when it comes to your personal finances. But you're not alone. Millions of Canadians share that feeling with you. 500,000 Canadians have found help with their debt, and so can you, with Consolidated Credit Counseling Services of Canada. They are one of the largest non-profit credit counseling organizations in the country, with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They could help you consolidate your bills into one affordable payment, minimize your interest rates, and get you out of debt fast. No matter how much you owe, you don't need to do this alone. To get help, call 1-800-656-7129. That's 1-800-656-7129. Let Consolidated Credit get you back to a debt-free life. Call 1-800-656-7129. Call toll-free today for a free consultation. 1-800-656-7129. Ontario license number 4705786.
This is a message from United Way to a Jesse M. of Mississauga. Hello, Jesse. You might be wondering why we made an ad specifically for you. Because, Jesse, you see, we're fighting poverty any way we can. Even cold calling a complete stranger over the radio. Bold, isn't it? Together, we can make sure everyone has what they need, like food, housing, good jobs, and mental health supports. Join people like Jesse to build a better GTA. Donate today at unitedwaygt.org. Thanks, Jesse.
Your sneakers are staring directly at you. You try to look away, but you can't. You're lace to face. They're saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, and your six-pack won't be either. But you've got to start somewhere. Stop staring, put us on, take that first step, or lunge, or squat. Start small, start somewhere. Join for $7.99 every 2 weeks at fitforless.ca and experience fitness simplified. Some conditions apply. Fit for Less. Everybody happy.
The Out-of-Town Scoreboard is brought to you by Maple Toyota. You don't have to go to town for a great new Tundra or RAV4 gas or hybrid. Maple Toyota has them in stock and ready to deliver. Visit mapletoyota.com. Earlier today, Capitals 6-3 over the Panthers. Utah 6-4 over the Lightning. Kings 7-2 over the Canes. Flames got by the Islanders in overtime 4-3. Blues got by Chicago 4-1. Minnesota 4-1 over the Sabres. It was the Stars 3-2 in overtime over the Flyers. Rangers 5-3 over the Canucks. End of the first period, it is 3-1 Vegas over Detroit. After 20 minutes of play, Avs 3-1 over the Habs. And early in the third, it is Ottawa 3-1 over the New Jersey Devils. Later on tonight, Seattle and Edmonton and Boston and San Jose. In our game, 3-2 Nashville over the Leafs after 40 minutes of play. Oh, yes, Guy. The third period is next. Bolson Canadian Leafs Hockey, TSN 1050 and the Leafs Radio Network.
It's Lady Gaga.
Let the mayhem begin.
Welcome to Gaga Radio.
Explore themes of chaos and transformation.
I'm taking over exclusively on Sirius XM.
A channel featuring her personal picks.
To you, from me.
And exclusive stories from her new album, Mayhem. Gaga Radio. For a limited time. Now on Channel 15. Or at home on your phone, computer, Alexa, TV, or other internet-connected devices.
NHL Morning Skate.
Defending Stanley Cup champion, General Manager Bill Zito. You have to be cognizant of the chemistry when you go out and make a potential trade, don't you?
We enjoy a little bit of a benefit now where the room is so strong that they can absorb a lot. We just want seamless guys who come in. Their leaders are Reinhart, Kachuk, Barkov, Bobrovsky. That part, it takes care of itself.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
General manager of the Winnipeg Jets, Kevin Cheveldayoff. What would finishing first overall mean to the organization, Kevin?
Well, I think anytime that, you can finish in an area where you're getting recognized, it's special. But again, the important thing for us is process. Is when we buy into playing the way we need to play, then, we feel comfortable that we'll win more games than not. And then you let the chips fall where they may.
The Power Play. Weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
It's soccer's most thrilling league.
Only the Premier League can make you feel like this.
And now every match is on the Sirius XM app.
Can you believe it?
From the title race.
This is remarkable. remarkable. Keeps this title charge on track, surely.
To the relegation fight.
The impossible may still be possible.
Hear every English Premier League match on Sirius XM FC 157 and the Sirius XM app. Just search for your favorite club.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Leafs scored 3 straight, including 2 by Austin Matthews. But the last time it happened was against Philadelphia a week later, December 4th. So they've been pretty good holding leads when they've had them.
Now, I know that coaches don't usually show out-of-town scoreboards or anything of that nature. However, tonight might have been a good opportunity. Both Tampa and Florida have lost their games. The Leafs could be in first place with a comeback win against Nashville here tonight. Down in along the boards, it comes in front of the net, and Domi couldn't reach it. Nashville has sent it high and out and down the ice, and an icing call will come here as it'll be brought back into the Maple Leaf end. So everything breaking the way the Leafs need it. They'll return home to host Philadelphia on Tuesday night before heading to the West Coast for stops in San Jose, Los Angeles, and Anaheim.
The disappointing thing, too, 3 goals against the second period. Go back, they gave up 3 in the second in Utah. They gave up 3 in the first to Colorado or to Vegas. Multi-goal periods against Colorado.
Puck in the Toronto zone. Riley gets it up on the wing, chipped down into Nashville territory. England gets it around the boards, and it'll come to center ice as Robertson couldn't get there in time to keep it in. Riley tries the boards again. Got it to the blue line, but not in deep. Domi had it on his stick, lost it, regains it. Gets it to Pontus Holmberg, to Robertson, who gets in on the right side. He stops up, got it back into the corner, deeper for Holmberg. Holmberg one-handling it along the boards. Robertson trying to get some position there to pry it free. Pontus Holmberg has it wedged up against the wall. Tried to get it in front for Domi. And it comes to the line, but not out. Tanev will get it in and play it in back of the net. Predators bank it out at center. Pass over on the right wing side. Hauled down on the play there was David Camp. And the puck is back of the Predators' goal. Fourth line out for Toronto. Lawton along with Lorenz and Camp. Taking his time back of the net is Andreas Englund. Got it to the blue line, but the Leafs are there, and Benoit is going to drop it off. Look for a return pass from OEL, but it comes up on the far wing. Shot in by Camp. Back of the net, stopped there by Saros. Played to the far boards, and the Predators get it out at center ice. Benoit goes back for the loose puck. Played it up on the right wing boards, and now Camp, with a little bit of skating room, banks it off the boards to himself and then plays it deeper into Nashville territory. Comes around the boards, cut off by Marner, fresh off the bench. On the wing to Matthews, a shot, and that was caught by Saros and was thrown aside. Leafs will play it right back in again and clear the zone. Matthews with a good shot. Nashville can't get into the Leaf end cleanly. Leafs have it again. Marner up on the left wing for Riley. Played to the line, but not in. Matthews in the back check against Ryan O'Reilly, and he has flipped it over the glass. And into the crowd it goes. Faceoff will come back outside the blue line. With 16:10 to go in the third period, they're even at 19 shots apiece. Pretty good opportunity for Austin Matthews, but
yeah, Mitch Marner picking it off the left wing boards, looks up and sees Matthews coming off the bench over the blue line. That worked when Matthew Knies did it in the second period against the New York Rangers.
Nashville play it down into the corner off the stick of McCarron. Well, they battle for it along the boards. McCabe taken to the wall, but Tanev helps him out on the wing and lifted out at center. Bouncing puck, batted in over the line. Bobby McMahon coming to the front of the net. Couldn't jam it underneath the pad of Saros. Good play by McMahon to take it to the hoop.
Yeah, that's a power forward move, isn't it? Using his size and speed. Just because, I mean, all he got really was maybe half a step on the defenseman, Brady Shea, and was able to chase it down, get it below the goal line, and then take it right into the blue paint.
Hoping to go 5-hole, but got it a little bit too far and off the right pad. And Saros got down to make sure that was sealed off. Predators send the puck out at center ice. Bank back along the boards, but will be played into Toronto territory around the boards to the far side. Quick shot taken, knocked away there by Joseph Woll. The Leafs play it down into Nashville territory, and it'll turn into an icing.
Last time the Leafs were able to come back when trailing after the second, February 25th in Boston, they were down 3-1 after the second, came back to tie it. Boston took the lead again, 4-3, and that set up Pontus Holberg scoring late with Anthony Stolarz on the bench. And then Mitch Marner with a breakaway overtime winner.
Draw to the right in the Toronto zone. Tavares won the draw. The puck was off a skate, though, and a shot caromed wide of the Leaf goal. McMahon got it up on the wing. Tavares trying to help out. McMahon frees it up. The Leafs will go cross ice to defenseman Brandon Carlo. He misfires on a pass. Evangelista back in, trying to get a shot away. Good block made there by Morgan Riley. Now Tavares around back of the net for Riley. Played up on the boards. That got past Bobby McMahon. Robertson pushing into the attack, trying to force it deep. It comes off the wing, and it is punched around back of the Nashville goal. Saros will play it up on the wing, and out at center ice it comes. Leafs trying to get a little pressure going here. Robertson was interfered with and knocked down by O'Reilly, and no call. And back come Delgazio, sending it down into the Leaf end. Wow, that was certainly callable, I would think. Puck on the boards for Domi. Set high in the air. And did it go off the stick, or is it going to be a penalty here for delay of game?
Max Domi is the guilty party if it is in fact going to be a penalty. Looks at the linesman is making the call now to the referees. Again, this is reviewable if the Leafs don't like the call. But it's another one of those that is very difficult to overturn.
And that was definitely interference. Oh, it's gone off. It's gone off this. Oh, I think they might review this.
Well, Jonathan Marchessault was right there.
Yeah, and the one replay we got, I thought it went off his stick.
Yeah, Craig Barube continues to look at it. I think the Leafs are going to be short-handed. I don't know if you get a clear view, Joe, if it picks the stick of Marchessault.
Well, they're taking a little bit of time, and Jordan Bean and Sam Kim have been outstanding in this department over the course of the year, and they're not going to challenge this one. So the Leafs have a big penalty kill here. Down a goal. Played down around back of the Leaf goal. On the wing, a shot taken there off the stick of Marchessault was blocked. Back to the point it goes. Blankenberg to Marchessault to Blankenberg, looking for Stamkos on the far side. Can't get a shot. Blankenberg again. Marchessault on the right wing side. Poked off his stick barely. The Leafs don't get it out, though. And on the near boards, Forsberg with it. Forsberg, a little slide pass back to the blue line. Blankenship with it again. Looking to the near wing. Gets it again to Marchessault. Down low into the corner. Trying to come out with it. Back to Marchessault. A deflection. Stopped there by Woll, but he couldn't control it. Kept alive by Forsberg. Into the slot area for Blankenberg. A shot goes wide of the net. And it's going to go over the boards and out into the crowd.
1:09 to go here in the Nashville power play.
Good deflection by O'Reilly, but good save by Woll. And then the one-timer from Stamkos, but Woll was right over there. May have gone off his shoulder and the goalpost, but it went out of play. Minute 9 in the power play. David Camp and Knies, the penalty-killing forwards for the Leafs. And the draw scrummed, and it comes back to the point. Blankenburg to the near wing. Working into the boards. Marchessault with a shot. That was stopped. The rebound to the far side. Stamkos works down to the half boards and into the corner. Gets it back to the far point. Cross ice to the near side for Marchessault. Now to Stamkos. Can't shoot it. Back to the slot area. Looking for Blankenship again with a shot. Stopped by Wall. There's a big rebound. And it's cleared back on the boards. Kept alive by Nashville, though. In off a skate, it comes back to the point from Riley, and now to the near side. O'Reilly getting it back to the blue line. Blankenship to Stamkos. Stamkos far half boards. Looking in front. Down low, back of the net. Good paddle. Blocked there by Wall. Stamkos again. Back to the point. Near side, Marchessault. Marchessault with a shot. Blockered away nicely by Wall. 16 seconds in the power play. Back of the net. Battle for it there with Brandon Carlo. That doesn't work. Marchessault with it again. Marchessault having it in the slot, a shot, and that went wide off the stick of Philip Forsberg. This power play's been out for the full 2 minutes. The penalty is over, and the Leafs hope to maybe take advantage of this maybe. Shot blocked. Rebound in front of the Toronto net. Broken up and brought out at center ice by Domi and Knies. Knies across the line. Domi with a shot, and that went off a leg and went wide. Domi with it again. Down into the slot area, trying to get it in front. Perrin, who's been replaced, gets on the ice and gets it out at center ice. And a tired group of Predators get to the bench. Riley in across the line, got it in front, but it's intercepted, and McCarron starts back the other way for Nashville. Going wide on Bobby McMahon. Couldn't get around the defender. And the puck to Tavares. Tavares looking for Nylander, and Nylander works it back into his own zone to stretch things out. Now Riley up ahead. Willie brings it to the line and in, but couldn't penetrate. It's a delayed offside anyway. Leafs are going to tag up, and now the Predators have it in their own end with 11:25 to go in the third. Leafs down a goal. Robertson got knocked down again. Puck in the Toronto zone is stolen. A backhand shot off the side of the goal. Rebound into the corner. Good save by Wall on the short side. A good hit, but the puck goes back to the net. Back to the point, kept alive at the blue line by Stastny. Into the slot area, and a shot blocked by Wall. Another shot stopped by Wall. Tanev can't get it out. Pressure here from Nashville. Robertson couldn't get to his man. Into the slot. One-timer! Set high over top of the goal by Brady Shea. Again, Shea with it. Into the slot area once more. Another shot doesn't make it through. Domi against the boards. Can't get the puck out. They've been in their zone for 40 seconds. Now McCabe along the boards, and Domi will get it out at center ice. Pontus Holmberg, fresh legs, gets it down in on the right side for Lorenz. Lorenz will go around back of the net. Can't come up with it. Stastny for Nashville will get it to center. O'Reilly punches it down in over the line. Play it around back of the net. Morgan Riley for the Leafs got it up on the wing, and Brandon Carlo has launched it high to center. Off a glove, grabbed off with Lawton, a centering pass to Riley, a shot, blocked away by Saros. Pretty good backhand there by Lawton. Under 10 minutes to play. Centering pass, broken up, and carried to center ice by Nashville. Right wing side, Evangelista. Dropping it back, centering pass, they score! Evangelista makes it a 2-goal game.
The simple 2-on-2 for Nashville coming out of the zone, but when they make the switch, Morgan Riley doesn't take Evangelista going to the front of the net. And he ends up open and just snaps it past Joseph Wall. But you'll see Riley goes to the boards and then lets Evangelista go. It's a 2-on-2. There's a switch with Brandon Carlo going to the far boards on the right wing side. Evangelista drops it and heads to the net. And Morgan Riley doesn't pick him up. And the Leafs are now in trouble here in the third. Down 2.
Down a pair. Knies gets it down into the offensive zone and creates a problem down there with Matthews. And
high sticking penalty here.
Penalty from behind. And I believe Blankenburg might be going to the box.
Well, I mean, and this was one of those as well. Matthew Knies might have grabbed his stick and put it right into his own face, but the Leafs better take advantage of this break.
Power play brought to you by your Ontario Subaru dealers. Enjoy spring to the fullest with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive. Visit your local Subaru dealer to book a test drive today. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
It comes around every year. People begin to scramble for information. It's a beast like no other. And VSiN is here to help you navigate the waters of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. It's Sharp Week, and our team of college hoops experts will guide you through your brackets. Want to know who the wagering sharps are picking? Tune into Sharp Week on VSiN, Sirius XM 158. Sharps! You're gonna need a bigger bet.
NHL Morning Skate.
Defending Stanley Cup champion, General Manager Bill Zito. You have to be cognizant of the chemistry when you go out and make a potential trade, don't you?
We enjoy a little bit of a benefit now where the room is so strong that they can absorb a lot. We just want seamless guys who come in. Their leaders are Reinhart, Kachuk, Barkov, Bobrovsky. That part, it takes care of itself.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias,
General Manager of the
Cheers, Insiders! Go Leafs, go! Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I'm bouncing around between all of these basketball games. Thank you for helping us with the Bracket Mania campaign for SickKids Hospital. I wanted to get a message in, but I couldn't record it in time as the game's starting in 2 minutes. Joe, take it away.
Every game, every play, every moment, you can make a difference. With every like, share, and subscribe, the Toronto Sports Insider community is turning March Madness into a movement for SickKids Hospital. Every interaction helps raise donations for life-saving treatments. It's simple. Watch the games, fill out a bracket, and spread the word. The more we grow, the bigger our impact. This is Joe Bowen, the voice of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Marner goes back to retrieve the puck. He starts out with it, thinks about dropping, then decides to carry it in, works to the far boards, played it back along the wall for Tavares. It goes around back to the net. Oh, a centering pass. That'll stop the rebound. Tavares can't get a shot away. Nylander, near side, off the stick of Matthews before he could shoot it. Matthews unable to keep it in. It's come to center ice. Matthews waiting for teammates to get onside. Gets a return pass from Nylander in over the line. Back to Willie on the near half boards. Nylander looking in front. Tavares is there. Knies is there. Now to Nylander. To Marner. Tried to flip it in front of the goal. Stolen back, but not cleared. Leafs keep it in. Nylander in the slot. Off a stick. And it's going to be brought out at center ice slowly by Cole Smith. And brought in over the line now by Colton Sissons. He drives the net. Oh, and he knocked Wall off the angle, and the puck just lay there about 6 inches from the goal post.
Might have been borderline goalie interference, too. Contact was made, and I don't think he was pushed in.
30 seconds left in the power play as Domi comes to center. In across the line, left wing side, Bobby McMahon. Rung around the boards, it'll find good defender OEL, who gets it along for Robertson, into the corner for McMahon. Robertson barges in there, but the puck comes free. Knocked away by the Leafs in front of the goal. Robertson has got a nice pass in there for McMahon, who shot it wide. Riley back at the blue line. Left wing side, Domi trying to center. That was knocked away. Riley keeps it in. Penalty door opens, and they're at even strength. McMahon in front. Domi couldn't deliver a shot. Domi gets it back to the point. Riley one-hands it in front. Can't get it through. Riley had broken his stick with that weak shot. And it is cleared now down into Toronto territory. Riley gets it up on the right side. Chipped in over the line, and it's gone over the glass. And with exactly 7 minutes left in the third period, the Leafs trail by 2 after having a 2-0 first period lead evaporate.
And really, I mean, defensive miscues. I still think this could have been goalie interference to that opportunity that Nashville had shorthanded.
You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
At Honda, we take pride in building the CR-V Sport here in Alliston, Ontario. And with all-wheel drive, plus a suite of Honda sensing technologies, we made sure it can handle Ontario winters. But you're probably wondering, what's with the one-touch power moonroof? Well, Ontario, we hold on to the hope that one day winter will be over. Get ready for spring and adventure with the Honda CR-V Sport. Lease with rates from 1.99% for 36 months, plus get a $1,500 Honda bonus. OAC conditions apply. Made with domestic and imported parts. See HondaOntario.com.
Alpine News Network is here live with one of our superheroes.
I don't want to say I'm a big deal, but I am a superhero. I love helping people consolidate their debts, and that's what I did for the Smiths. I took their bills and zoom, wha-bam, zap, turn them into one low monthly payment. No, the sound's not necessary, but it's part of the fun.
Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. Just for license 12616.
From the biggest stadiums to the coziest holes in the wall. From house parties to porch hangs to pride celebrations. From your favorite fuss shop to your local Indian spot. From noodle bars to sports bars to salsa bars. There's a Molson with your name on it. Canadian Ultra XL. Molson. Everyone in. Must be legal drinking age.
Nashville Predators have scored 4 unanswered goals after a 2-0 first period Toronto lead. And the Leafs power play that scored the opening goal of the hockey game has gone 0 for 2 since then. Played ahead on the left wing and down into the offensive zone. Matthews got it on the wing. It comes in front for Knies. He couldn't get a shot away. And the Predators will get it out at center ice. Evangelista, who has scored a huge goal here. Shot here is blockered away by Wall. Bounces to Tanev, and Chris Tanev comes to center. On to Matthews. Matthews to Knies. He had to go off his skate, and it is quickly cleared by the Predators to center ice. That statistic about leading after 2 periods is one that is amazing in this league. And you mentioned it about how good the Predators have been in that department and how bad they've been elsewhere in the statistical form, and a penalty is coming here to Toronto.
And anytime a guy drops his stick, there's a slashing penalty. And Nashville can really put this game away here. It looks like Simon Benoit is going to go. I'm iffy on, especially when a guy's got one hand on his stick. Like it looks like he drops it. Anyway. Benoit goes to the box. It's going to be a power play for Nashville with 6:05 to go here in regulation, holding on to a 2-goal lead. Benoit sees the replay and he's shaking his head at the box. But it almost looked in the replay like Marchessault just dropped his stick, right?
I mean, I've always thought if you slash the stick, what's the damage? I mean, I don't understand why slashing the stick is a penalty. I understand the hands. I understand that. But you're trying to stick check people.
Yeah, but I mean, if the stick breaks, it's enough force. But a lot of times guys are holding on to it with one hand.
So here come the Predators with the power play. Right wing side, Forsberg. They were on the ice for all 2 minutes. And O'Reilly knocked down David Camp.
An offside, maybe?
Yep. So it'll come back outside the blue line. This group was on, and the Leafs tried to take advantage, had them hemmed down in their own end after the power play was over. But were unable to find the back of the net. And now Stamkos trying to take face off. That wasn't done correctly, and so they'll do it all over again from outside the blue line. Looks like a lot of Leaf fans have made the trek down to Nashville for this one. And across the line now for Forsberg, a shot blockered away by Wall, who lost the rebound, but it comes back to the point. Marchessault along the board, centering pass, and a quick shot by Forsberg, swallowed up by goaltender Joseph Wall. 29 shots now for Nashville.
I think maybe that's the disappointing thing here in the third period, is there hasn't really been a push by the Leafs. Just 4 shots on goal.
Well, they've had 26 in the last 2 periods, Nashville has. Leafs had 12 in the first period.
26-9, the shots, Nashville.
Here's the Predators with a shot. That was knocked away off Forsberg's stick. Puck in along the boards. Stamkos. Stick handles out of a crowd. Got it back. Stamkos on the left wing. Behind the back pass. Intercepted, and the Leafs have a break. Here's David Kemp. David Kemp closing in. Shot stopped by Saros. The Leafs get the rebound. A shorthanded goal would have done wonders right there. But Saros makes the good save.
Last one was a game winner. Steven Lorenz shorthanded against Colorado.
Steven Stamkos giving the puck away again on the power play. Brought in now by Nashville. Played around back of the net. Puck intercepted. Now the Leafs trying to break back. An alley-oop to center. Trying to come up with it was Knies. He spun Brady Shea around a little bit, but now brought back and a pass intercepted by Lawton. Lawton will drop it back with 16 seconds left in the power play. Played ahead and down into Nashville territory. Time is an ally of the Nashville Predators. The Leafs need a pair, and they're going to have about 4 minutes of time left by the time this penalty is over. And it is over now. Here's Matthews to the line and in on the left wing. Tried to drop it back, and Marner makes a nifty move to get away from one check. Tried to center in front for Matthews, but it went off his stick. And the Predators have it turned over, and Matthews steals in for Marner. Marner curling back to Matthews. They replay catch with it to the slot area. McCabe can't shoot it. Riley couldn't shoot it. Back on the boards for Matthews. Matthews with the net empty now. The Leafs with an extra attacker on the ice. Down into the corner for Willie. Willie comes back to the point. Oliel to the far side for Riley. Riley back to Willie. Nylander on the top of the circle, still with it. From outside, it goes to the far wing for Matthews. That was a little bit too far. Then he got a shot away, and Saros stopped that from an angle. Down back of the net, Tavares trying to center. Tavares couldn't bring it out from behind the net. Played to the line and out.
Leafs got to get somebody to the front of the net.
Riley will launch it right back in again. Tavares goes into the forecheck. Swept around the boards. It's blocked on the far wing by Marner. Got it back to the point. Now traffic in front. A shot. That was stopped by Saros. Against the boards into the corner for Tavares. Centering pass. Comes all the way back past about 3 players and out at center ice. 2:43 left. And the Leafs with 6 attackers on the ice. Nashville getting it on the boards. Tried to play it out. That was partially blocked. Matthews couldn't steal it. Played high to center and down to the Leaf zone. No icing. As it's rung around the boards, it'll come to the near side, and Knies couldn't trap it there. This group is on the ice and tired, and now at an empty net, a shot goes over top of the goal from Michael McCarron. Another shot blocked by the Leafs. Played ahead by Matthews. In over the line, a shot. Saros the save. Plays it on the wall, and it'll be lifted high to center ice.
Boy, that's got a tired group the Leafs have out there now.
Here is McMahon in across the line. Bobby gets it down back of the net but can't penetrate. Shot back down the ice, and an icing call will come with 1:50 to go in the third period, and a timeout going to be called here by Craig Barube. That third period goal is a killer right here.
It was just in a simple 2-on-2 play that results in a high danger slot opportunity that finds the back of the net. And UC Saros hasn't been forced to be spectacular by any means, but he hasn't given anything to the Leafs that would get them back into this game. So another shots over the last 2 periods, 25-13, favoring Nashville.
Derek McKenzie drawing up the defensive responsibilities for Nashville while the Leafs go over their offensive attack.
Somebody who's on the boards. Bobby McMahon is out. I wonder if the Leafs are they going to go with six forwards here.
Well, their power play is with 5 forwards, right?
I'm just thinking if you use that 5 and McMahon is your 6th. Nope, Morgan Riley is out.
So the Leafs trying to catch lightning in a jar here. And the draw won by Toronto. Marner makes a little nifty move to get it into the corner to Nylander. Centered in front. Big save, Saros. There's a scramble. And the puck is covered up finally.
Well, at least take it from below the goal line to the front of the net. John Tavares was there trying to find the loose puck and jam it in, but boy, there were about 15 players there.
Knies had the best whack at it in the goal crease.
I mean, not really 15, but there were a lot.
I figured that out on my own.
I know somebody.
That'd be illegal, wouldn't it? Draw one by the Predators. They send it out and down the ice well wide. Another icing call. But 1:32 left to go in the third period. Leafs return home and host the Philadelphia Flyers. Scott Laughton playing against his old mates. On Tuesday night, Leafs controlled the face-off. Marner got it back to the point to Matthews. Over on the far side, Riley with a shot, but right into the chest of Saros, who was able to cover up on it. But getting the puck to the net is the whole idea. Try to get a rebound, try to get a redirect. But there was no one in front of Saros taking away his eyes when Riley let that go.
Well, it's a comeback in Montreal. They were down 4-1 to Colorado. That's 4-4 now with 6 minutes to go.
Tavares taking the draw and scrummed it. Won by Nashville. Pounded along the boards. Nylander able to block, but it is shot down the ice again. And another icing with 1:14 to go. (31-26). The shots favoring Nashville. But a 2-0 Toronto lead in the first period, which was close to being 3-0, has been squandered here by the Leafs on this final game of the short road trip. Won by Toronto. They'll punch it around back of the net. Predators get it up on the wing. Bouncing puck on the dasher board. Finally controlled by Nashville and flipped out and down the ice. And not far enough for icing. Riley goes back to it. Got it ahead. Matthews will bring it to the line and in. Matthews takes a shot, and that goes ramping off the stick of defenseman Blankenberg and up into the screen. 45.9 seconds remain.
It is incredible this year how many periods they've had giving up 2 or more goals. You know, when early on in the year especially, they were so good at it was 2 or 3 in a game max. And now you're looking at how many times it's been 2 or 3 in a period.
Draw controlled by Nashville. They'll play it high to center ice. A foot race for it and an empty net now for Forsberg. And he scores. Brendan Shanahan getting a lot of camera time as the Maple Leafs are going to drop this one to the Nashville Predators by a 5-2 count. Empty net goal for Philip Forsberg, his second and 27th of the season.
Well, you're never ever going to go 82-0 during the course of the regular season, but there are some losses that are going to bother you more than others. And I think this is going to go into that category.
Especially, and I know they don't look at the standings and stuff of that nature during the game, but
It was an opportunity.
It was a great opportunity to move into first place. All three teams atop the Atlantic are going to succumb to losses today. And that will be a huge part of the standings as it's down into the offensive zone with just 3 seconds left, and time is going to run out. UC Soros picks up the victory, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are unable to enjoy a 2-0 first period lead that could have been 3. Scott Laughton's goal is waved off for a high stick, and funny, that's the turning point in the game.
Well, or unless you want to say the last second of the opening period. Matthew Knies taking an unnecessary interference penalty. That leads to the power play goal that gets Nashville engaged in the game. And the Leafs, there was just no pushback after that. They were not dangerous at all in the second period. Had some attempts out of desperation in the third, but unable to mount any kind of serious comeback. But again, you got a 2-on-2 in the third period coming back into your own end. The guy scores wide open in the slot, and that dashed your chances in this one.
Leafs will entertain the Philadelphia Flyers Tuesday night at Scotiabank Arena. We will be there at the arena to bring you the action between the Flyers and the Leafs. We trust that you will join us then. Until then, stay tuned for the post-game show. You've been listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Experience the excitement of the men's and women's NCAA basketball tournaments on Sirius XM and on the Sirius XM app.
This place is in stunned disbelief.
Search March Madness to hear Westwood One's coverage of all the games, plus pre- and post-game shows and analysis on basketball and beyond with Coach K on College Sports Radio Channel 84. Get radio channels for your games at SiriusXM.com/sports or search March Madness on the SiriusXM app.
The Point with Boomer Gordon.
For months, I've been listening to hockey people warn the Sabres, don't move on from Dylan Cousins. This is the one you'll regret. The fact that you're trading in division is amazing to me. This guy can come back and haunt you like every Sabre does. But if I'm an Ottawa Senators fan, Jake, I'm over the moon on this trade.
Point with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
It's soccer's most thrilling league.
Only the Premier League can make you feel like this.
And now every match is on the Sirius XM app.
Can you believe it?
From the title race.
This is remarkable. Keeps this title charge on track, surely.
To the relegation fight.
The impossible may still be possible.
Hear every English Premier League match on Sirius XM FC 157 and the Sirius XM app. Just search for your favorite club.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Nashville wins at 5-2 over the Leafs. The post-game show is next. This is Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
It comes around every year. People begin to scramble for information. It's a beast like no other. And VSiN is here to help you navigate the waters of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. It's Sharp Week, and our team of college hoops experts will guide you through your brackets. Want to know who the wagering sharps are picking? Tune into Sharp Week on VSiN, Sirius XM 158. Sharps! You're gonna need a bigger bet.
Nothing puts you closer to the action than Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
Dallas already was the highest scoring team in the league since January 1st. They're so deep. They made a trade, like Michael Granlund there.
What's up, insiders? That's a tough loss tonight. Very tough loss there for the Buds. These bots are driving me absolutely crazy tonight. Good to see everybody here in the chat. Tough loss. I had the third period on here. I was able to get enough bandwidth to run all of these streams. The key, kick the kids off the video games. When the kids can't play Fortnite or Roblox and things like that, TSI streams good. All right. I need to go check out these other streams here and set up the last stream of the night. We are 3 out of 4 days completed here, which is absolutely insane. I don't think you guys quite understand the level of stuff that's been happening. I can't wait until Monday morning when I wake up and then I have to go back to work for the regular job. Anyways, that doesn't matter. We're going to get back to Leafs post-game, and we'll let it run all the way through, and then we're going to send you to that last basketball game of the night, UCLA against Tennessee from Rupp Arena in Kentucky. That's going to be a great, great game. Rod Bottomley in the chat. Beer. Cheers, Rod. Good to see you, man. This is not beer. This is actually some Coke and Johnny Walker Black Label. I didn't even put the cap back on, and I need to refill. That's how these streams have been going. Cheers, everybody. We'll see you in that last stream of the night. Hopefully, I'll be chatting away while I'll be getting ready for the all the thumbnails for tomorrow. I'm tired. Go Leafs, go. We'll see you in the chat. Thank you for being here. Big shout out once again. Cheers to Mark Duffney for the $25 super chat donation. It's not a super chat. It was not a super chat. It was a donation to SickKids Hospital in our Bracket Mania campaign. I haven't taken a look quite yet, but I know that Brandy sent a $10 super chat in. Hey, Sarah came down. She heard I was talking. There you go. Oh, Mom's texting me. Time to go see what the boss wants and go say hi to my kids since I've been down here in my basement just playing with all my streams. Cheers, everybody. We'll see you soon. Go Leafs, go. Tough loss tonight. We'll bounce back. It's all right. We'll see you on the next one.
Did they?
No, and you know, sometimes his special teams loses a game. Sometimes you don't get the goaltending. Sometimes the offenses, comes up dry. I think this, aside from, let's not forget the Knies penalty at the end of the first period, which was unnecessary as the time's running out. But this one, I think, is a lot of it has to go on the defenseman. 2 goals off the rush in the second period off bad pinches. And then even the put-away goal in the third period is a 2-on-2 that leads to a guy wide open in the slot to be Joseph Wall. So I think from a Leaf standpoint, you didn't get the next goal that could have put it away. I know the Lawton goal was called back, but I think it was the right call. But defensively, I mean, these are the games. You got the lowest scoring team in the NHL, and you got a 2-0 lead after the first period. And to me, they simply gave opportunities that they had no business giving up.
Yeah, not to really point fingers, but it seems like it was an off night for Jake McCabe, who was guilty of 2 of those pinches, and just his reads just seemed off, and it was a little bit surprising, especially coming off a career-high 3 assists against the New York Rangers the other night.
But, Stewie, do you think that played into it? Maybe, you have that night where you have 3 assists, and you're noticeable offensively, and all of a sudden you think, okay,
maybe celebrated, maybe one celebrated retirement party,
but now it's like I'm going to create offense. I'm going to jump up and. We talk about game management or playing the score, but, you give up the power play goal early in the second. That's one thing, but, man, you're playing with a lead and you're doing, and both pinches were 50-50 pinches. They, and to me, when you got a lead, you got to pull out if it's not 90% sure, and end up cost them. And you feel sorry for Chris Tanev because, he's the guy that's going to take the minus, and he's back on the 2-on-1.
Well, and I think you'd like to be somewhat concerned about this, but, as we know, Florida and Tampa lost, and what I think some of the criticism we would level at the Leafs for not taking care of their own business is almost league-wide, isn't it?
Yeah, but I just think, Jimmer, when what we've seen in, really since the break, the Four Nations break, is, earlier in the season, it was 1, 2, maybe 3 goals against in a game.
Yeah.
And now we're getting the multi-goal periods. It was what was it, 3 goals in the second period tonight. It was 3 goals in the second period against Utah. It was 3 goals in the first period against Colorado. It's become, 3 goals in the first against Vegas. it's been too common that there's been these blowouts against in single periods. Forget about keeping the goals against down where they were in the top 5 in the league in the first couple of months of the season. Now these blowouts, these mistakes are being made to me on a far too regular basis, where they're giving up multiple goals and multiple opportunities. And and I guess we should say too, as good as Joseph Wall has been in the last 3 games, he was average tonight. Yeah. And I know we love the Stephen Lorenz shorthanded goal against Colorado, but you say that one, you should make a save there. A guy coming off the wing, and it's one-on-one. And the Kiefer Bellows goal was probably the one that you're saying, boy, you need him to be out further. He got caught a little bit deep in the net and gives up the short signer.
Yeah, so not really pointing fingers at Wall too, but don't you think they were getting those saves in the first half of the season, right? I think those, for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny that it comes here because the game against Colorado was easily his best of the season. You stopped 30 out of 39, and you're the main reason you're playing against one of the top offensive teams in the league in Colorado. So that's where it's a little disappointing. You see Stolar's was better against the New York Rangers, but his last 2 wins were both in New York against the Rangers. Seems like he's trying to fight his way back to the form that we saw earlier in the season, and so sort of disappointing that Joseph Wall, it wasn't on him by any stretch of the imagination, but as you said, Stewie, that was part of the success the Leafs had earlier in the season, was that they weren't giving up a lot, but they were getting the big save at the right time to win hockey games.
And I guess classic analysis here. When you looked at the week, Calgary, Colorado, the Rangers, and Nashville, this was the game that was almost a guaranteed win. But of course, it wasn't. Some of the things you described a couple of minutes ago really are sort of vintage Leaf problems, aren't they? Not Craig Barube Leaf problems, but before that, the look tonight is, we've seen that many times. Some of the other looks, a week ago when we were talking about the loss at home to Ottawa, that was like old school Leaf loss. So you wonder why it creeps in at this particular point, especially what you detailed nicely. The first half, they really cleaned that stuff up, but here it is.
Yeah, and like I said, you can circle and you can point fingers, but overall as a team, you just thought that Craig Berube's team, we talked about being tougher to play against and not giving up many opportunities, and like we said, we're seeing 2, 3, 4 goals in a period going in, and I'm sure he's not thrilled with that. As we said at the end of the broadcast, you're not going to go 82-0 in any regular season. You're going to lose games, but there are going to be some games you look at and say, this one's unacceptable, how we let it get away.
To the positives, John Tavares scored again tonight, his 30th of the year, his 7th 30-goal season. He's sort of been a model of consistency for this Maple Leafs team.
Yeah, and you know what, Stu, I'm going to say, I was one of those in that real long line that said, boy, you look at that contract, you could be in trouble the last couple of years. And here it is.
Extend them.
Yeah, the final year of the contract, he's back in the 30-goal category. So, and I think the reason many of us thought that was the fact that you're saying he's not the fastest guy in the league to start with. And, how much is the speed going to deteriorate? But boy, there's still so much fight in him, along the boards. We've seen the finish, obviously, with 30 goals. But the one-on-one battles and creating turnovers in the offensive zone, if he's gotten slower, he hasn't gotten any weaker.
He's evolved. This is a guy who, I don't know how he does it, but every year somebody wants to put him on the third line, and he says no. He keeps his spot. I guess, if you went back to that Montreal series where he got steamrolled and knocked out of the series, that was the start of, well, this is not going to work out. But somehow he's reconfigured himself every year and has done a really good job.
Yeah, and if it does get to the point, Jimmer, where, you're able to re-sign him and whether it's 2 or 3 years, whatever is worked out. I always remember when the Pittsburgh Penguins won their back-to-back Stanley Cups in the early 90s. They got Brian Trottier from the New York Islanders. Yep. Trottier was near the end of his career, but everybody talked about how him adapting to be the number 3 center behind Mario and Ronnie Francis was so key to those Cup wins with the Penguins, and you could see. I mean, let's hope we can be talking about going to the Stanley Cup Finals or something like that for the next 2 or 3 years. But you can see John Tavares still being useful if it does get to the point where he's a third-line center, and maybe we're looking at 15 to 20 goals and some power play time. So, yeah, Stewie's right. I mean, that's a huge plus to see, how, whether you're saying he's evolved or made some changes to his game, but, boy, he's as dangerous as he's ever been.
It seems Bobby McMahon sort of leaves a void whatever line he exits it from. So what do? Do you keep him in the top six? Do you put him on that third line? Just seems, that bottom six was struggling a little bit with not having his legs and energy out there tonight. Yeah,
I mean, there were, at times I thought the fourth line had some moments. I thought Nick Robertson had some good jump, wasn't able to really create a whole lot. But you're right. If, once you move Bobby McMahon off that line, and yet nobody's really claimed that spot, the left side in the Tavares line. Pontus Holmberg's been there. They tried Yarncroc when he came back. Nobody has really done anything that said that, he deserves to be in there on a regular basis. But you're right with Bobby McMahon. I mean, he had the big night with Tavares and Nylander in New York. But, 5-on-5, they didn't create a whole lot. And you take McMahon off that line, and all of a sudden the Domi-Robertson combination is a line that you almost hope just can play even because they didn't generate a lot offensively.
Ralphie, thanks for hanging around. Appreciate it.
Thanks, boys.
Okay, Jim Ralph, analyst on our broadcast, and giving us the once-over in the 5-2 Nashville win. We'll continue on. This is Leafs Game Night on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
Breaking story from Alpine News Network. Jan owns a home and a restaurant fusing French and Mexican cuisine. But she is fusing no more because her ovens have gone kaput. She called Alpine Credits, who sent their speedy superhero. With her business loan approved, her ovens were quickly fixed. The hero even had some of her poutine nachos. Yum! Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. Just for license 12616.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed a musty smell in your home? I hope not, because damp smells mean that you could have a crawl space problem. That's where Groundworks comes in. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to waterproof your crawl space and get to the root cause of the problem. Schedule your free inspection at groundworks.ca/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed where work is performed. See website for details.
Touchdown.
Great catch.
Give me a high five.
5 minutes later.
Interception.
Awesome play.
Give me a high five.
2 hours later.
Eddie, did you order 20 high five specials from 2-for-1 Pizza?
You kept asking for high fives.
I meant, never mind. I'm hungry.
High five. Buy any large traditional pizza and get up to 3 medium 1-topping pizzas for just $5 each.
2-for-1 Pizza. 2-for-1.
The Leafs Game Night. Nashville wins at 5-2 over the Leafs. The Leafs head home, have a pit stop at home to Philadelphia on Tuesday, then split for the West Coast, San Jose, L.A., and Anaheim. They spend next weekend in L.A. against the Kings and then Anaheim on the Sunday. So just kind of a pit stop, get some new clothes, and away you go. That's the way it is, Stu.
Yeah, not too much time to sort of dwell on the loss. I'm sure they're going to do some video, but at this time of year, it's not about sort of the systems and all that. It's just relying sort of on your training and the structure, but ultimately just the will, not just the skill, it's the will. So for them, it's not the best opportunity. It's not the best result tonight, but again, you can't just sit down and dwell on it. You learn from it, and then you move on.
Yeah, it's the kind of game where I think if you're watching, it's frustrating because you're waiting for somebody to do something to gather the troops, and it doesn't happen, does it?
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking in the pregame show where I said, yeah, you know what? I could see them getting out to a 2-0 lead, a couple goal lead, and then they squandered that. So that's sort of been the recipe a little bit as of late. And again, yes, they were consistent with their most recent winning streak. But again, this team has to have that killer instinct, and I think that's the one thing that's missing, right? Where yes, the power play got them into a game, but they came out fairly flat. The game was sort of going back and forth. Nashville didn't come out, and for them, I think you can't take that penalty at the end of the first. Maybe Lawton, Lawton gets called for the high stick, no goal and goal called back, but then you find an opportunity maybe now to score because now they're for the taking. So for me, it's just the game within the game. I just don't think they were there. And, I'm watching the shootout right now with Montreal and the Avalanche. Like, they're playing desperate, right? Avalanche had 38 shots on net. I just saw Montembeault make 6 huge saves on Makar and McKinnon in this overtime period on the power play there. They just need to have that killer instinct and a little bit of desperation. And it's tough because, again, this is a team that's been near the top of the division most of the season, but it's now this time of year, you got to have a little bit more desperation.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, I think we mentioned this at some point during the course of the game. There are points here. So if you send it to overtime, you get a point whether or not you win the game. And that's relevant. Regulation results here, when it's a negative, is not good for the Leafs. Obviously, it doesn't hurt them too badly tonight because everybody else lost, but you want to take care of your own business. Now, I agree with your point about the Knies penalty and the Lawton goal that got called back, which was the correct call. But to me, as relevant and as accurate as that is, what happens after is very loose play defensively. And there's no excuse for that for me.
No. And this is the team that's gotten by and gotten to where they are on the fundamental and paying attention to the details. In years past, we would have been like, yeah, that's pretty par for the course with this group. But I talked about it in the second intermission. Like, when's the last time you've seen this team give up multiple 2-on-1s or 3-on-2 rushes? Yes, they've been, exposed sometimes on the rushes and, maybe having their F3 back checker getting caught or going the wrong way. But those opportunities they're few and far between. So for me, it's being on the road. You're in Nashville. Maybe you're having a little bit of fun the night before or whatever, but you got to show up and perform, especially at this time of the season, right? They get 2 points right now. They're sitting on top of the division now with an opportunity to maybe possibly go up with a win against the Philadelphia Flyers. So, again, I'm not going to chalk it up. It is just one game. They are coming off a 3-game win streak as well. But for me, this was one that you sort of just put in your back pocket as a 2-point gimme. And that's how it looks like it was trending after that first period. But just the fundamentals and the basics and the system, lack thereof, ultimately costing the game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's everybody understands you play like that in the playoffs and you get bounced early. And we've seen it. It's just quite a contrast to how they played against Colorado, where they were defensively responsible. And as Ralphie said, first part of the year, you could see that defensive structure being implemented. But when it takes a holiday like tonight and last week against Ottawa, exactly a week ago, that's a little concerning.
It is, but I'll give them a little bit more equity, right? So I'll see how, they perform against this Philadelphia Flyers team, right? So they're a little bit loose. They play a little bit of a run and gun style. They have Michkov and that as well. So let's see how they respond. Remember, it's when the high gets too high, we're like, oh, here we go. Yeah, they're take the next step, and the lows are like, oh man, here we go again. So again, it's just finding that even keel type system and just, system and just not really worried or getting too high or too low. But for me tonight, I'm like, oh man, what was in the water tonight? So it was one of those, but can we sit here and say there was 15 of those this year? No, I think there was, Columbus, St. Louis, Ottawa. So, it's under 6-7 games. I'll give them a little bit of slack, but it's the response now against Philadelphia, how they do it.
Well, I think we're all guilty of this. What we're looking for is the game that tells us it's going to be okay. So that might have been the Colorado game. And when you have a game like tonight, you're told it's not going to be okay. But, I mean, we won't know that until the playoffs start. So there's no game here that's going to tell you it's okay or it's not okay.
Yeah, playoff is ultimately the measuring stick and the barometer here. But, again, if you're now coming in and you're pinching and those fundamentals and basics and the one goal that they scored, they're jamming in on the pad 2-3. Where is the clearing? Where is the, the fundamentals of, the defense that have been stalwarts back there, clearing out the front of the crease and, having good reads in the D zone and clearing out the pucks, right? So, there's been turnovers, there's been some misreads, there's been lack of communication, but it's a little concerning for me because that was their bread and butter and strength. So they need a little bit of a reset. So I don't know if it's video, whether it's a skate, you got to skate everybody, pedals to the max here, but ultimately at this point, no one's going to feel sorry for you. Everybody's in a grind. There's multiple games being played in a short period of time. You have to find a way to persevere, right? You're looking at the Tampa Bay Lightnings. You're looking at Montreal right now, Ottawa. They're now trending in the right direction. You have to keep up pace because regardless of who you play, if you win the division or not, it's not going to be an easy out. It's going to be a tough series, and you can't depend on one line, one power play unit, one penalty unit, one goaltender. You need everybody. The collective needs to be performing at a high level, and consistently they've been consistent, but just recently that's sort of taken a step back.
Yeah, just going to tip my out-of-town scoreboard. Ottawa got 2 big points tonight. Montreal got a big point. So that it looks like I'm not going to anoint anybody in now, but it looks good for certainly for Ottawa, and it has a real positive look for the Montreal Canadiens. We're going to step out when we come back. Plenty of stuff to talk about. Leafs lose 5-2 in Nashville. This is Leafs Game Night on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
It comes around every year. People begin to scramble for information. It's a beast like no other. And VSiN is here to help you navigate the waters of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. It's Sharp Week, and our team of college hoops experts will guide you through your brackets. Want to know who the wagering sharps are picking? Tune into Sharp Week on VSiN, SiriusXM 158. Sharps! You're gonna need a bigger bet.
NHL Morning Skate.
Defending Stanley Cup champion, General Manager Bill Zito. You have to be cognizant of the chemistry when you go out and make a potential trade, don't you?
We enjoy a little bit of a benefit now where the room is so strong that they can absorb a lot. We just want seamless guys who come in. Your leaders are Reinhart, Kachuk, Barkov, Bobrovsky. That part, it takes care of itself.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. The Power Play with Steve Kouleas.
General Manager of the Winnipeg Jets, Kevin Cheveldayoff. What would finishing first overall mean to the organization, Kevin?
Well, I think anytime that, you can finish in an area where you're getting recognized, it's special. But again, the important thing for us is process. Is when we buy into playing the way we need to play, then, we feel comfortable that we'll win more games than not. And then you let the chips fall where they may.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. The Point with Boomer Gordon.
For months, I've been listening to hockey people warn the Sabres, don't move on from Dylan Cousins. This is the one you'll regret. The fact that you're trading in division is amazing to me. This guy can come back and haunt you like every Sabre does. But if I'm an Ottawa Senators fan, Jake, I'm over the moon on this trade.
Point with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
The world's most thrilling league is now in the palm of your hand. Hear every English Premier League match all season long on the SiriusXM app. Just search for your favourite team.
Leafs Game Night. Nashville wins at 5-2. Leafs up 2-0 at one point and then squandered 5-2. Nashville wins and gets back into the win column. They were on a bit of a skid, and the Leafs' good week ends on a sour note. Jim Taddy and Anthony Stewart with you. Going to get some Craig Barube sound shortly, but in the meantime, let's return to, Stu, what we talked about in the pregame. Clearly, and I don't know where this goes, and nobody can really predict this, you've got Marner, Knies, and Tavares all have to be signed. I think everybody would agree there would be a lineup for any one of the three guys. The Marner one forces a little more creativity for somebody to sign him because of the cap hit. But these three guys will be sought after. No question about that.
Yeah, and I just did some calculations right now, and we're looking at probably $25 million for the
more.
Threes, right? Maybe more. So you do the math. Somebody's got to go. But again, I think it's there's some time to sort of punt it to maybe in the off season, because a lot of this is sort of depending on the playoffs, right? And say there's a first one out. I don't think it's going to be the case, but if there is, you cannot run this back. I started the media pre-COVID in 2018, and I remember if they don't win against Montreal and this, they have to now break it up. And again, I've got about 19 gray hairs since then, so that so you can't be now gray, talking about. I think you went from gray back to black, but I think you have to have some change. Change is constant. Mike Keenan used to talk about you always have to change a minimum of 12% of your roster every single year. But if you now fan out now, in that first round, you have to make a change. Somebody's got to go. You have to allocate some of that money. So if you're freeing up, $12-14 million, the way that I would do it, you got to go. You got to have a guy at $5-6 million. You got to have a guy at 3 or 4, and you got to have a couple guys there. So you need to know exactly what type of players you're bringing in. You got to go out there and get yourself a Coyle type player where is going to be 25 goals every single year. Maybe it's a Brock Nelson where he's going to be a little bit cheaper than a Tavares. Maybe it's somebody like that, but I think Tavares is for sure a player you got to bring back depending on the cap hit and how long he wants to sign for. Everyone's saying 3 years, but this is a hockey nerd that's going to be playing till he's 40 years old. I'm not his agent. I'm not his solicitor. So he's probably going to want a 4-year, 5-year deal with a little bit of a parachute at the end there too. But Knies as well. And he's proving, and I think he's really going to increase his worth come playoff time. It's going to be him and the McMahons, the guys that get to the net, because those are the types of players that had success in years past. So, for me, we'll see how it goes. And, Marner is the wild card as, we don't know. Does he really want to be here? Does he, if they go out in the first round, I'm not going on Instagram or social media because they're probably going to blame him, right? So, we'll see. We'll see. We have some time, and the good thing is they're going to have some cap space. They're going to have an opportunity to improve this roster, regardless of the playoffs if they come out in the first round or not.
It's an intriguing situation because, I think there would be massive interest in all three of them for different reasons. And you could see the fit where they would go. Clearly, anybody who's on the way up would love to have a guy like John Tavares as a number 2 center just to solidify the development of a franchise. Knies, there's a lot of people that would pay that, whatever it is, $7 or $8 million that already do that with their own draft picks and have the whole. And Marner's just an elite talent. So, I mean, I always say, you don't think Chicago wouldn't mind having him set up Bedard? Of course they would.
Of course, right? And, the funny part about that is, on this roster, how are we still debating? Well, what if it's the first round, right? You look at, the Edmontons, and you look at, the Tampa Bays, and you look at the Dallases, the Colorados. The expectation is that they are challenging for the Stanley Cup, and with this amount of talent, how come that is not the question? Why are we questioning that as if that's, a possibility and not a guarantee? And obviously there's no guarantees, but that, as management, that serves as a problem because sometimes the group is just not good enough collectively to get it done, and that's why you got to make the change. It's not no one's fault, right? They traded DeMar DeRozan, who's an all-time Leafs Raptors great, but they knew to bring in Kawhi, that's what they needed to do to win a championship. So hard decisions got to be made. A lot of business decisions got to be made, and depending on how the results are, it's no different in today's NHL, especially with Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, the Raptors was a real roll of the dice. They also let go the coach of the year, which is a pretty gutsy call, but they made the right call. Coach's Comments is powered by your Ontario Honda dealers. Score a $1,500 Honda bonus on the CRV Sport. Conditions apply. Visit HondaOntario.com. Coach Barube on how this one got away.
Second period, odd man rushes against, 2-on-1s, 3-on-1 we gave up. Kind of got disconnected in the second period, in my opinion. And bottom line is that, we didn't defend well enough.
How do you explain that? Because it did seem like you guys had the game under control.
Well, we had a real good first. I don't know. I mean, we just didn't. They came out. They looked more hungry than us in the second period. And they didn't give us a lot of room, but we didn't fight for it either.
you guys had good momentum going into a game like this. I'm sure it's not the way you want to end the trip, but do you just reinforce what you guys did good earlier, or do you try to take away this stuff you didn't do?
Well, I mean, it's, like I said, we had a good first period, a lot of good stuff in the first. I liked our energy. I liked the way we direct us. Our shot, attempts were good. We had 14 shots, or I don't know how many in the first, something like that. And it was a total flip. They did what we did to them in the first, they did to us in the second, and we had breakdowns that cost goals, and there was no reason for it. It's 2-2 late in the third period, and we get caught in a 3-on-1. So that really explains it right there for me.
What did you make of Joseph's game?
I thought he was fine. I mean, I'm not sure what he could do on any of the goals, to be honest with you, when I look at it. Maybe the second one, the short side one, but, he made saves, and, in the third one, Tanny slides and it ends up going into the goalie, so put him, he got out of position, but there's nothing he can do about that. We just, we can't have breakdowns like that in a game, and for me, it's just, that's mental.
That play that Austin and Mitch make right off the ozone draw, is that something that you talk to them about, or they come up with that on their own, or?
Well, I mean, there's plays that are designed and things like that, but, they come up with their own stuff too, and what they feel they can, make work in a game. And a lot of times it's, Austin, he's going against O'Reilly all night, and maybe there's something there with the draws and things like that. He's got a tough opponent in the face-off circle all night. So, they'll come up with things and plan things on their own.
You with the mental mistakes this late in the season, is that just par for the course from any other team you've coached before? This is going to happen at times, or are you kind of surprised it's happening now?
I don't know if I'm surprised. I mean, there's things that happen throughout the year, mistakes like that, mental mistakes, and it could be a number of things. I haven't seen the mental mistakes like we made tonight in a while. So we'll look at it, we'll discuss it with our team, and go over things, and we'll go over how we looked in the first period too. So, like I said, it's a flip of a switch there for me.
Craig Barube post game. So Stu, take us down to the ice. You're on a team. You hop over the boards. You got 5 guys out there, and all of a sudden you're playing loose, and you are. And then you go off, and the next 5 guys are playing loose. How do you fix that?
Well, back in my day, you'd probably have to fix somebody with a little bit of a fight to change momentum, right? And I think that's sort of where they struggled a little bit with just, the momentum shifts, like just managing that, right? And having their foot on the gas when it's 2-0, getting up 3-0 or 4-0, or playing with discipline. So I think just sort of those waves, they've struggled a little bit in managing those waves. But again, I saw the stat tonight, they're the 3rd best second period team. So that can stabilize and help you get some wins, or sort of add a little bit of distance between you and the team in that second period. But, other teams are playing a little bit desperate. And, with Nashville, guys are playing to stay in the league, stay on the team, play their way off the island, right? So in today's NHL, you have to have that desperation, and you can't take your foot off the gas. But, me as a 3rd liner or a 4th liner, I can't have any zeros across the board, going into that 3rd period. We're down, and I got to go up there, have a big hit. I got to maybe slide into the goaltender. I got to draw a penalty. I got to do something, as opposed to look at one of the big stars to do something, as they've been performing most of the years. So for me, yes, it's you don't point fingers, but I think collectively, the bottom 6, that's a big moment for Domi. That's a big moment for Robertson. It's a Kampf, right? He got caught on one of those odd man rushes too. Lawton, okay, yes, you got caught with the high stick. What's going to be your response? So, it's not pointing fingers, but it's just saying, when I was playing, I was like, man, I got to do something, because, the coaches, they don't really go at the stars. They go at the role players. So I think the role players got to step up. And for me, that's an opportunity for them to get back and maybe take over a game like this versus Nashville.
Well, and, we don't know what was said in the Nashville dressing room after 20 minutes of play, but it had to be something, because they were on a 4-game skid, and they got scolded publicly by their coach, and now they're down in home ice 2-0 and starting the second period in the power play. That was an opportunity, and they took advantage.
Yeah, right. And again, I've played in the KHL, and I've heard some of the stories with ownership coming down and, threatening to light fires to, some of their contracts on the spot. So obviously things are a little bit different than in Mother Russia. We understand that, but, ultimately you gotta find that fire from within. You can't. And, yes, we know the Stars are going to be the guys, but there's an opportunity here that if you are now a middle or bottom six guy to grab a top six spot. If I'm McMahon, if I'm Domi, if I'm Kampf, if I'm Yankroke, I gotta put together a good 5, 6, 7 games here and say, I want to be the go-to guy. Or you saw Matthew Knies right now. He's setting himself up for the rest of his career, coming in and grabbing that first line left wing spot. Same thing with McMahon. So for some of these other guys that don't necessarily have, 2, 3, 4 years on their contracts, there's an opportunity. So you got to make the most of it here, especially with so much riding. If this team makes the conference finals, there's a lot of money for a lot of guys on this roster. So for me, I want to see a little bit more urgency, and in games where it's very, very tough to get some energy or find that momentum, that motivation should help you overcome.
I totally agree. There's a number of people on expiring contracts that you think would drive this thing forward. And I said earlier, we're not going to find the game that tells us it's going to be okay in the playoffs, but that's not going to stop us from looking for it. I'd like your reaction to this. My gut opinion about this team is it's better than it has been in the past, but I still feel that they're going to get boxed in a playoff series, but I hope that this time they come out of it.
Yeah, I can sit here and 100% say when Tavares, Nylander, Mitch Marner, and Matthews bring their A game, it's a tough team to beat. But the issue is they always can't bring it, and I'm really afraid of the depth. Right? Lawton was supposed to be slotted in as the prototypical third line center. You look it up in the dictionary, and his face pops up smiling, and it's sort of been a struggle for him right now. And part of it is the big bright lights of Toronto, right? But as much as it's not my worry about the Leafs, it's the Tampas and the Floridas that have been there. They've overcome. They've been down in series. They've found ways to come back. Florida Panthers have dealt with the heartbreak of missing the playoffs under their coach the first year that he came in and then going to back. So those guys have been through the ringer. They understand it, where, Toronto, a lot of those guys have struggled doing that. So I hope they get over the hump, but I believe they can do it. People were discounting John Tavares. Look where he is. He solidified himself. Austin Matthews is coming back, been one of the hottest players in the league with points, since February 1st. Matthew Knies is toting with 30 goals. Marner's going to hit 100 points. So they have it. It's just you got to have that killer instinct.
Yeah, the one moment you talk about the Leafs scar tissue and how it could work, you realize the Panthers in Tampa have much thicker scar tissue.
Yes, it's not limiting their mobility like it is the Leafs. Their scar tissue, it's a strength. Yes, it's a bulletproof, I guess.
Kevlar.
Yes, Kevlar.
Their
yes,
new winger,
yes.
Kevlar.
Yeah.
All right, Stu. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Always great working with the top man.
Oh, I'm going to patent that one. That's great. Thank you very much. 5-2, Nashville wins over the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is Leafs Game Night on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
You've been listening to NHL Play-by-Play on SiriusXM. Head over to SiriusXM NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, for the best hockey talk.
Stop the terrorists. Get to the stage on time so you can get up and do your stand-up comedy when the audience is waiting. The ticking clock makes people realize we don't have time to screw around. We got to fix this and do it right now. So that was, in many ways, as miserable it was for, and particularly with my team, because I had a great team, but they did the heavy lifting because in essence, we had to do everything on handshakes. You're not going to get everything documented, but you're talking about the most honorable parties on earth, the mayor, Fox, Liberty Media. When they shake your hand, it's gold. And so we got it all done, and here we are.
What was it like this is 1997, so no e-transfers. What was it like to tell the Rangers, to quote a song, to take this and shove it? Who made the call and said, by the way, here's the check for Joe Sakic, bye-bye, NYC?
Well, Pierre went, Pierre went to Joe's house and delivered the money. I got up with Liberty and Fox and the mayor at City Hall, and we announced the arena deal, Fox and Liberty. And we were coordinated. It was choreographed. And then I was a speechwriter when I was a kid. And I had the blessing to do some work for the governor of New York when he was vice president, Nelson Rockefeller. And he had that famous picture where he was being heckled and he offered his opinion of that. And that picture of him flipping the bird was, I figured, a nice gift to send Dave Checketts, who was a good friend of mine, by the way.
I love it. I never knew that. I love it.
Follow every second of the action on NHL Network Radio. From behind the bench to every play on the ice. If it's hockey, it's on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio. SiriusXM 91.
I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your SiriusXM NHL schedule for Saturday, March the 22nd. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In the NHL, 1 p.m., New York Rangers face the Vancouver Canucks. Rangers on SiriusXM channels 91, Internet 938, Canucks on Internet 948. 2 p.m., Dallas Stars take on the Philadelphia Flyers. Stars on XM 219, Internet 928, Flyers on Internet 940. 2 p.m., Minnesota Wild face the Buffalo Sabres. Wild on XM 220, Internet 933, Sabres on Internet 922. 3 p.m., St. Louis Blues face the Chicago Blackhawks. Blues on XM 221, Internet 944, Blackhawks on Internet 925. 4 p.m., New York Islanders face the Calgary Flames. Islanders on XM 223, Internet 937, Flames on Internet 923. 4 p.m., LA Kings face the Carolina Hurricanes. Kings on XM 380, Internet 932, Hurricanes on Internet 924. 5 p.m., Utah Hockey Club takes on the Tampa Bay Lightning, with Utah on XM 219, Internet 947, Lightning on Internet 945. 5 p.m., Washington Capitals take on the Florida Panthers. Capitals on SiriusXM channels 91, Internet 950, Panthers on Internet 931. 7 p.m., Nashville Predators take on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Preds on XM 221, Internet 935, Maple Leafs on Internet 946. 7 p.m., Montreal Canadiens take on the Colorado Avalanche. Canadiens on SiriusXM channels 167, Internet 934, Abs on Internet 926. 7 p.m., New Jersey Devils face the Ottawa Senators. Devils on XM 220, Internet 936, Senators on Internet 939. 8 p.m., Vegas Golden Knights take on the Detroit Red Wings. Knights on SiriusXM channels 91, Internet 949, Red Wings on Internet 929. 10 p.m., Edmonton Oilers face the Seattle Kraken. Oilers on SiriusXM channels 167, Internet 930, Kraken on Internet 943. 10:30 p.m., San Jose Sharks face the Boston Bruins. Sharks on SiriusXM channels 91, Internet 942, Bruins on Internet 921.
SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio is the place for expert advice, strategy, and information from the best fantasy sports analysis to win your league. Plus, hear pick-by-pick coverage of live drafts and interviews with top players, coaches, and team executives on SiriusXM 87.
Former owner of the Colorado Avalanche, Charlie Lyons, had 7 days to figure out how to keep Joe Sakic from joining the New York Rangers back in '97, and he stopped by SiriusXM NHL Network Radio with Steve Kouleas to talk about how a little film called Air Force One helped him feel more confident in the face of this chaos and keep Sakic.
Okay. Coincident with that, we were releasing Air Force One. I had another company, Beacon Communications, run by two terrific film producers, Armin Bernstein and Mark Abraham. And we had decided to make a big movie. There's no guarantee how those things work out, but everything came together. Wolfgang Peterson, Harrison Ford, terrific script by Andrew Marlowe, and it was pure joy. And it came out and it was one of the most successful movies of all time, leading R-rated release in history. So you're feeling kind of good about things. And what that did was it created some confidence when you get cold-cocked like this. A really successful organization, Jim Cronin, Art Aaron, Tim Romani, who built Kaminsky Park, to sort of huddle and say, okay,